TCU has won 27 of its last 28, the lone loss in overtime. Virginia won the toss, and after giving up a touchdown on defense in the first play of the game last week, they elect to receive, put their offense on the field. Shepard and Scott are the deep men for the Cavaliers. And Shepard straddling the goal line will take it out past the 20 and down at the 21. The quarterback for Virginia is Michael Rocco, who has experience in big games. Won last year at Florida State and engineered a game-winning drive against Penn State at home earlier this year.
Yeah, and a year ago, he was the first-time starter, threw for over 2,000 yards, and as the most ever by a UVA quarterback in their first year starting. He's got a lot of talent, very smart, just needs to execute this offense.
And on first down, they'll hand it off to Perry Jones. Gets back to the line of scrimmage. Only 5 carries for him last week. Look at our impact players, brought to you by Firestone. Keep an eye on tight end Jake McGee, who's got 9 catches and 2 scores this year.
Yeah, he's just a green. He's a sophomore, but he's got a lot of talent. 6'5", he can run. They love play action over the top to McGee. And then on defense, Demetrius Nicholson started every game a year ago as a true freshman on the corner. They're going to need him to stop a high-powered Horned Frog offense.
Got an injured player. It's Perry Jones, their top tailback, although they do use Kevin Parks and Khalil Shepard. And TCU is without one of its star running backs. We'll tell you about that a little bit later. But this is a big loss, not just because Jones runs the ball, but he's one of their better receivers. He had 48 catches a year ago out of the backfield.
Yeah, he is a big percentage of this offense for Virginia. Not only that, he's also the senior captain. Big blow if he can't come back.
They go empty here and throw it into the flat to Darius Jennings. Spins out of the tackle, and Jennings able to get the first down. That's a gain of 10. Davion Pearson, a defensive tackle, makes the stop downfield.
Virginia is a typical West Coast style of offense. Quick passing game. They're going to establish the run early. With Jones out, they're going to be really reliant on Kevin Parks, true sophomore. Clifton Richardson didn't make the trip. He was a backup running back, so you might see a little bit of Khalil Shepard, another sophomore who's got some speed.
From the Virginia 31, 1st and 10. A pitch to Kevin Parks, and Parks dives to the 35-yard line for about 3. Let's look back at the injury to Perry Jones here on first down.
Yeah, the first play, he just bounced it outside and trying to fight for extra yardage, took a hit right on that knee. Looked like Mapunga put a helmet right on top of that knee, and hopefully Perry Jones can work it out and come back in this game.
Kevin Parks, his replacement, is the leading rusher this year in terms of yards, but Virginia is a team averaging just 3 yards per carry, really struggling to run, so they go to the air. It's another first down. Dominique Terrell out near midfield. He has 7 catches now this year after 8 all of last year as a freshman.
A nicely designed route. Terrell comes in motion. He waits. He's patient. Lets the defense get soft and then finds the zone. Well-designed play. Stack release, and then you find the soft spot in the zone. Terrell, a young wide receiver, just learning his way. Well done.
Run play here on 1st and 10 as Kevin Parks gets wrapped up about 2 yards downfield by Kenny Kane. TCU is a young defense. Kane is the lone senior starter. You know, TCU for years was among the leaders in total defense. In fact, led the nation from 2008 to 2010. They slipped last year, 32nd, and we don't know where they're going to be this year because they are so young.
Yeah, they're starting 15 or playing 15 freshmen. Not typical of Gary Patterson teams.
Parks takes the pitch on 2nd down and gets slammed to the ground. No gain on the play. Kenny Kane in there again for TCU.
TCU really needs a couple of defensive tackles to show up. Take a look at the pit here. Good get off by Pearson. Good David Johnson in there as well. And then Kane fills the hole well. And this is an area that TCU needs to grow defensively, is up front in the middle. They've got good rushers with Mapunga and Fields on the outside, but how do these defensive tackles stack up against some of the bigger offensive lines in the Big 12?
Seventh play of the drive, third down and long. And the tight end Mathis with the catch, but well short of the first down. We'll see if Virginia elects to play field position and punt the football here on fourth down at about 5. Barrett and Anderson team up on the tackle, and the Cavaliers will kick it.
It's one of the more frustrating things for Cavalier fans when they watch this offense and Mike Rocco. You got a third down and 8, and you throw a 4-yard route, and you end up punting. It's almost like you're conceding a punt. You know, you need to, if you got time in the pocket and Mike Rocco feels comfortable, push that ball down the field, give yourself a chance to convert a third down.
Rosinolik's kick over the head of the return man, and Virginia able to keep it from going into the end zone. It's initially touched at the 1 by Anthony Harris. See where they spot the ball when we come back, but a terrific play down there by Harris to keep it from going into the end zone, and TCU backed up.
Sponsor of the Horned Frogs. Please join us in thanking BBVA Compass for its sponsorship of today's game. Accepting the title-sponsored game ball is Tarrant County Market President Brian Happel.
All right, thank you.
Welcome to College Football on ESPN, presented by Cars.com. Welcome to College Football on ESPN, presented by Cars.com. Welcome to College Football on ESPN, presented by Cars.com.
Gary Patterson has built an empire here at TCU. In his 12th season, he's got 111 wins, 8 seasons with at least 10 wins, back-to-back BCS game appearances, including the Rose Bowl championship. After that perfect regular season in 2010, they beat Wisconsin in Pasadena. Last year, they won 11-2, won another Mountain West title. This is their first year in the Big 12. They played at Kansas in their conference opener last week and won that game despite a lot of turnovers in the red zone. Stepping out of conference to play the ACC's Cavaliers. And a first down for TCU as Paul Hall throws from his end zone. Going to air it out down to Boyce in the middle of the field, and he can't come up with it. Bought a flag. Draquan Hosky on the coverage. Looked initially like Boyce just dropped it, but the flag is thrown for interference.
Pass interference.
How's that interference? The guy just dropped the ball.
That ball was thrown perfectly downfield. It looked like he may have got there a little bit early, Dave, but yeah, definitely that arm is in there early, and he could have caught that football, but I like the aggressive play call early in the game, backed up. Everybody expects you to run the ball just to get some breathing room. You take a shot downfield.
So first down for TCU at its 21-yard line. Matthew Tucker, senior. Again, TCU only plays about 10 seniors. That pass tipped at the line by Jake Snyder and incomplete. Well, we talked about, Brian, what Gary Patterson has been able to do at TCU. What are some of the challenges he faces this year with a young team and now playing in the Big 12?
Well, the big challenge is the Big 12. Obviously, he's not going to be playing that Mountain West Conference schedule. But then he also needs to find some senior leadership. So many young players this year for Gary Patterson. Can Casey Paul Hall be that leader that they really want him to be? He's been a fantastic athlete, fantastic arm. He can make all the throws. The next step for him and the challenge for TCU is, can he be that leader?
And Paul Hall saw nobody open, so he took off and got maybe a yard, brought down by Will Hill. Paul Hall last year broke all of Andy Dalton's single-season records. Very efficient quarterback through the first couple of games this year. He leads the nation in pass efficiency. And last year, didn't turn it over often, only 7 picks and 25 touchdown passes. Personality very different from Andy Dalton. They love Dalton here because he led him to that Rose Bowl win. He still has to win over some fans. Has had some off-the-field issues, failed a drug test in February after his roommate, among others, was arrested in a drug sting. A lot of guys were kicked off the team as Paul Hall has a completion and a first down to Cam White. On third down and 9, Paul Hall makes a strong throw.
Yeah, good read there. Off coverage on the outside. And you give Casey Paul Hall time and space in the pocket. He's got one of the better arms in all of college football, and that's just too easy if you're Virginia defensively. You've got to be able to get up, jam those wide receivers, and not allow them to convert a 3rd and 9 with a simple out route. A lot of young players in the secondary for Virginia. That was Canada, who's a true freshman, not very comfortable getting up and bumping these wide receivers.
Here's Tucker wrapped up from behind and thrown down by Chris Brathwaite. Steve Greer there as well. Our impact players brought to you by Firestone. We'll see a lot of Matthew Tucker today at running back.
Yeah, really tough injury to Wayman James a week ago. He's out for the season. Tucker's going to handle that load. But Josh Boyce is the most explosive player that they have on offense. And then on defense, we know Stanley Mapunga is a wrecking crew, one-man wrecking crew from that defensive end position.
And of course, the other impact player is the quarterback. Paul Hall comes in 85% completion rate. 1 of 2 so far passing in this game. They go with an empty set here and 5 wide on 2nd and 10. Paul Hall with time to the sideline, incomplete. He was trying for Tucker, being defended by Anthony Harris, so it's 3rd down and 10. They converted a 3rd and 9 earlier on this drive.
That's one of the creative parts of this TCU offense is they will put any of their skill position players, whether it's a tight end, running back, wide receiver, in any position in the formation. That time they had Matthew Tucker lined up as a wide receiver in an empty set and let him run the downfield route on the corner. A lot of times offenses will only let wide receivers run downfield routes. Not this TCU offense. Makes it tough to defend.
Paul Hall on 3rd down and 10 again with time, and what a grab! Brandon Carter inside the 20. He'll take it in. Touchdown TCU. A 68-yard touchdown pass by Paul Hall. And that's the 4th touchdown catch already this season for sophomore Brandon Carter. Longest scrimmage play of the year for TCU. And the extra point by the true freshman Jaden Oberkrom makes it 7-0 Horned Frogs. Well, Carter is one of the weapons they have on offense. He makes an incredible one-handed catch and then does the rest with his feet to give TCU an early lead.
So here it is here, blitz. Then he's manned up and there's nobody left, and it's just great throw. I mean, that was good coverage.
3rd and 10. All right, they said 67. You had 68. Which is it? It is a bit. Oh, boy.
College football in high definition is presented by College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
That Virginia defense gives up a big play on 3rd and 10. They decide to bring pressure from the edge. It's going to come from the left side, and then watch the route on the inside from Brandon Carter. Does a nice job of beating Phelps, the safety. That's tough duty to ask a safety to come inside and guard like a nickel. He had good coverage, went underneath. It was just a great throw and a better catch from Carter for the touchdown.
The artist work in the telestrator. Did you choose the colors? Maize and blue?
Maize and blue. Hey, what else would you do? They don't have purple on the telly. Sorry, Horned Frog fans.
Here's E.J. Scott. Looking for a lane, but he gets hammered at the 11-yard line. Say hello to Reese Davis in the studio. UAB looking for its first win. Ohio State undefeated on the season so far. TCU had a bye week, week 1, which is unusual. And the Horned Frogs beat Grambling State, then won at Kansas. Scored only 20 points, fewest since the Fiesta Bowl lost to Boise State a couple years ago. On 1st and 10 for Virginia, Rocco on the rollout at his tight end. And then try to throw it toward the sideline to Jennings, but it's incomplete. Let's get an update on the injured running back for Virginia, Perry Jones. Here's Jen.
Thanks, David. We saw him go out on that first play of the game, took a blow to the knee. He came over to the sideline, spent quite a bit of time with the athletic trainers. They ended up fitting him for a knee brace on that right knee. He's not in the game right now, but certainly they're going to want him back. Got over 900 yards rushing last year.
And key also in the pass game, over 500 receiving yards for Virginia a year ago.
Yeah, we were talking with offensive coordinator Bill Laser. He says he's such a big part of the passing game out of the backfield, matched up against linebackers. They'll miss him.
Draw play to Kevin Parks. Perry Jones is back up. He's out across the 15. Gain of about 4, brought down by Elisha Olabode.
It's so important for this Virginia offense to stay on schedule. They call a naked on 1st down, just looking for a completion. And Rocco decides not to give it to the tight end and get 5 yards and throws it out of bounds. Puts you behind the sticks now, 2nd and 10. You run the ball for 3 yards and now brings up a 3rd and long situation. So Rocco has got to make better decisions managing the game, keeping them on schedule if they're going to stay in this game.
And if he doesn't make a good decision here, TCU might get the football with good field position after a punt. Rocco going to go deep, single coverage down the sideline and drop. Oh, Jennings maybe had a touchdown if he hung on. The defender, Kevin White, appeared to get tripped up defending Jennings. And Darius Jennings couldn't hang on. Got to make those plays if you're going to beat a team like TCU on the road.
Well, it looked like The ball was perfectly thrown. It just hit him right in the face mask. And Darius Jennings was a quarterback in high school, just learning how to play the wide receiver position. And that's a play that he'll think about tonight when he puts his head down to rest, because that was a touchdown, would have tied the football game.
And now the punter, Alec Vozinilek, kicking from his 2, and you've got a dangerous return man in Deontay Gray. This is a great kick, though. Gray backing up, fielding it inside his 30. Penalty flags fly. Gray back near midfield, but this is coming back. There are 3 yellow markers on the field at the 30-yard line. 54-yard punt, and the net may end up being about 65.
Yeah, I think there was a block in the back. After coming off such an emotional loss for Virginia last week, getting blown out by Georgia Tech, you just wonder if they can get some kind of momentum. And that play would have certainly, if Jennings would have been able to make that catch, give them a boost that would tell them, hey, we can compete in this game on the road against a good TCU team.
Illegal block in the back on the return team. Number 1, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down. Timeout.
Well, the difference so far in the game, TCU's ability to convert 3rd and long, Virginia's inability to make plays on 3rd and long. The drop pass there by Jennings.
ESPN College Football is presented by Cars.com, where confidence comes standard, and in part by Buick. Experience your kind of convenience, peace of mind, entertainment, and luxury.
2 of the greats at TCU, slinging Sammy Baugh and then Davey O'Brien, who won the Heisman, Maxwell, and Walter Camp trophies all in the same year. He was the first to do that and the first and only Heisman winner from TCU. First down, Horned Frogs. Here's Tucker on the pitch, and he gets dropped at the 24 after a gain of 3. Steve Greer on the stop. First positive yards on the ground for TCU from the tailback position. Forces depleted there with Wayman James out. Knee injury last week against Kansas at ACL.
Yeah, and it really hurts them, obviously, running the football, but just from a leadership standpoint, Wayman James, we were talking with Gary Patterson last night. He was talking about James just being more of a leader in the offseason and taking control vocally. They'll miss him this year.
Movement on the left side of the line.
False start. Offense, number 59. 5-yard penalty, second down.
It's on the left tackle, Tayo Fabuluje.
Nicely done.
He's one of the easier ones today. So 5-yard setback at 2nd and 12. They'll bring Boyce into the backfield and throw it to him in the flat. Another one-handed grab. But he's brought down for minimal gain on the play by DJ Hill. Let's get more on the running back situation for TCU with Jen.
Thanks, Dave. Well, as you said, Wayman James is out for the season. Head coach Dave Patterson told me he's going to be looking to his experience back in Matthew Tucker. He's got over 2,000 yards for his career, but he also said he needs his true freshman, B.J. Catalan, as well as Andre Dean, to step up in James's absence. He says we're only as good as our 2s and 3s. Today's a good chance to see where these guys stand.
I think this is a different challenge for Gary Patterson. He's used to having veterans that he can rely on, but this is the youngest team he's ever had, as that pass is pulled in by Sky Dawson for the first down. Tagged down at the 34. When you think about TCU, last year they played 6 true freshmen. That was the most in the Patterson era. This year they've already played 15, and they have only played 11 seniors.
Yeah, not only that, being in the Big 12 as they are, they haven't really experienced it yet. One game in the Big 12 so far against Kansas last week, but down the road, Gary Patterson is hoping that some of these freshmen and sophomore, 80% of his team in those 2 grades, can get some experience and be able to compete with some of the better teams in the Big 12.
Here's Tucker on first down, and again, not much running room. He gets to the 38 for 3 or 4. Steve Greer on the stop. TCU doing its damage so far in 3rd and long. They're 3 for 3. 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, and 3rd and 10 they've converted through the air.
Yeah, and the most dangerous weapon TCU has on offense is the arm of Casey Paul Hall. And I know that they want to establish a running game and they want to have balance. In talking with Gary Patterson last night, they want to be a balanced offense and take some pressure off of Casey Paul Hall. But having lost Ed Wesley and now Wayman James, I think more of the onus to produce in this offense will be on Casey Paul Hall.
Paul Hall on 2nd down and 6. Pocket collapsing, and he delivers a pass that is incomplete, intended for Josh Boyce. Here's Reese in the studio.
Pass incomplete, intended for number 82, Josh Boyce.
And like TCU, West Virginia in its first year in the Big 12. Here's 3rd down again, 3rd and long. 3rd and 6. And Paul Hall with time to throw, and that one way over the head of Sky Dawson. But there is a penalty flag down, and it was thrown late.
Flag on the play.
Looks like it's going to be a hold on TCU.
Holding. Offense, number 69. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
True freshman Avion Collins, a starter at right tackle. So finally, Virginia stops TCU on 3rd down, and they're going to get the football back.
Yeah, good rush by Bill Schouts, the sophomore defensive end that had a hamstring. He got in the face of Paul Hall, created the high throw, and got a holding call.
Ethan Perry, a true freshman, punting for just the 2nd time. It's the 4th punt overall for TCU this year. Khalid Shepard is the deep man. And Shepard has it at the 16-yard line. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup heads to the Northeast and the Magic Mile in New Hampshire as Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart are close behind Brad Keselowski, while Dale Earnhardt Jr. seeks his first chase win. The Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Jeff Gordon on the pole. Here in Fort Worth, day where the temperatures could hit 100. TCU on top of Virginia 7-0. Just outside the 4-minute mark. Talked about a multitude of backs we'll see for Virginia and TCU. Kevin Parks getting a lot more work than he expected with the injury to Perry Jones. And here's Shepard out of the backfield making a first down catch. Shepard, a sophomore. We saw on a kick return now getting some work at tailback.
Yeah, and he's
at 14.
Sorry, Dave. He's an X factor for this Virginia offense. He's got speed and he can catch the football. Just comes out of the backfield. It's called a Texas route in the West Coast offense. Just looks like a V as you come out. He's got one-on-one the linebacker. That's where Perry Jones has made a lot of his money on one-on-one matchups against linebackers, and Shepard looks like can do the same.
Figuratively speaking, making a lot of money.
Make his hay. How about that?
All right, that works. Shepard straight ahead, and not much there on the ground. TCU's front four led by Stansley Mapunga. They've sent a lot of players from the defensive side of the ball to the NFL. Jerry Hughes, Darrell Washington, and Mapunga, even though he's a junior, certainly has great numbers. Last year, 9 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, and he had a forced fumble last week against Kansas.
One concern on defense for TCU is depth. Do they have the depth to make it through this entire season in the Big 12 schedule?
Perry Jones is back in the game. They fake it to him and throw downfield on 2nd and 10. There is a flag down in the backfield. The pass was over the head of Darius Jennings. So another holding call here on the offense.
Holding. Offense. Number 72. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Ode Abushi, the left tackle, called for holding.
Yeah, both offensive tackles for Virginia are going to have a tough day. This is Abushi right here. He's going to be blocking true freshman Devontae Fields, who's got a lot of talent rushing the passer and just gets locked on there. But with Fields on one side of this defensive line and Mapunga on the other, TCU feels really good about their ability to pressure the passer.
3rd year for Mike London, raised the expectations at Virginia after he won 8 games last year and went 5-3 in the ACC, led them to the Chick-fil-A Bowl. Good coach. Did a great job at Richmond, won a national title as Terrell pulls it in. Well short. On a first down, got about 7, so 3rd down coming up. Jason Verrett there defensively.
This Virginia offense really can't afford penalties. When you don't have a whole lot of explosion on offense, you don't have those fast players, it's difficult to make that up. They're a ball control offense that needs to stay ahead of the down and distance, and they can't be in these kinds of situations 3rd and 13 and hope to convert.
Let's see if they go downfield. We saw play earlier where Rocco went for the check down early. Then he tried a shot downfield that was dropped by Darius Jennings on 3rd and long. Rocco waiting in the pocket, going to check it down, but threw it over the head of Perry Jones. Would have had one-on-one with the safety Sam Carter out there had he caught it. And it's 4th down.
Yeah, really good protection by the offensive line up front, and Rocco had all kinds of time, but they dropped 7 deep right around the first down sticks. TCU defense did and forced him to check it down. Even if they complete that pass, it's not going to get enough for the first down.
Another punt. Bo Zinalek will kick from his 14. Deontay Gray has a punt return for a touchdown this year. That was against Grambling in week 1. And another good punt. Now the return man was hit and a penalty flag comes down. Even though Gray didn't have a shot to get the ball, he was run over by McGee. 59-yard punt, no return.
Yeah, Jake McGee is one of their better tight ends on this team and plays a lot of special teams, a very excitable player. Loves to have fun and fly around. That time he just needs to be smarter and understand that even if the ball goes down on the ground, you can't hit the return man.
Kick catch interference on the kicking team. Number 83, 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
That's a big penalty instead of the ball being at the 20.
And that's just experience, Dave. I mean, I think he sees the ball come down and treats him like he was a blocker, and forgets that he's the guy that actually has the right of way to get that football. Just an inexperienced play by McGee.
So that'll give TCU the football at its 38-yard line. 1st and 10, leading 7-0 at the 2-minute mark of the opening quarter. I talked about TCU's running back situation. They've got 2 in the game right now, B.J. Catalon and Matthew Tucker, and that's Catalon, the true freshman, in motion. And Paul Hall, with a flag down, moving to his right, and Boyce is there to make the catch. But he stepped out of bounds, and that's illegal touching on him, so another flag downfield. The field judge put his hat off, which means that Boyce was not blocked out of bounds, that he went out of bounds on his own, which means he can't be the first to touch it. Then you had another flag at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, a lot of laundry out today already.
If on the raw, Boyce was forced out by the defender, you can come back in. But if you go out on your own.
Yeah, he was running back down the sideline, you know, unabated by the defensive back, and just kind of stepped out of bounds barely, and then he ended up touching the football. I think you're absolutely right.
So Dave Epperly explaining everything to Mike London because of the 2 infractions on the play.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Illegal touching on the offense. A receiver went out of bounds, came back in first to touch. That penalty is declined. Holding on the offense, number 74. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's on true freshman Hala Pulivati Vaitai.
Oh, nicely done. Here he is right here. We call him Big V.
You call him Big V. I had to say his name.
But that's again Shouts. Shouts coming back. He's got great ability to get around the edge, and here's where Boyce steps out of bounds.
And a run play on first down, nothing off the right side. Again, Virginia doing a pretty good job at the point of attack. As Tucker loses his helmet, he'll have to come out for at least 1 play.
That was Shouts again in the running game this time, but he had a hamstring, missed the game a week ago and came back. The senior, 6'4", 265 pounds from New Jersey, and he is giving fits to this offensive line, especially the big right tackle, Mr. V.
Yeah, I would say that was holding, wouldn't you?
Yes.
When you pull an MMA move on the guy. Well, Paul Hall kept it. The back, Andre Dean, thought that Paul Hall was going to give it to him, and it's a gain of only 2 or 3. Here's Reese Davis in the studio. Well, you know, Reese, obviously Russell Wilson is gone, and they've lost a lot of linemen the last couple of years. But Paul Chryst really had a great handle on the offense, and now he's gone, the head coach at Pitt. They definitely missed his influence with the offense, as that pass is nowhere near Brandon Carter on 3rd down and 17, so they'll have to punt.
Not only that, but they lost 6 coaches from that coaching staff at Wisconsin. So you don't just replace those guys easily. But nice stand by Virginia defensively. They got to feel good about the way that they've come out and played. I know they gave up the 1 big play on 3rd and 10. But after getting gashed by Georgia Tech a week ago, their confidence level coming out and stopping the run specifically has been impressive so far in this game.
Khalid Shepard is the deep man. Perry to punt. Angle toward the sideline. And it's caught. No flag down. Again, you have that modified halo rule of a yard to the shoulders and in front of you, but apparently was not violated that time by Gamble. A 46-yard punt, nothing on the return. And TCU has been everywhere, including the Big East, for a sip of coffee, but they're now in the Big 12 with the addition of the Horned Frogs and West Virginia, of course, A&M going and Missouri going to the SEC.
Well, I tell you, and I think it's great for college football that the Big 12 is strong. You know, there were a lot of questions 2 years ago as to what would happen. Bringing in West Virginia and TCU and the resurgence of some of the other teams in that league, really good for college football.
Rocco does well to hang in there and find Parks out of the backfield for a big gain out past the 40-yard line. Gain of around 20 before Hasley brings down Kevin Parks.
Bill Lazor loves nakeds in this West Coast offense, and Great shot there of downfield. Getting the football down the field, push down the field. If it's not there, just dump it off to your back. That's where Perry Jones made a lot of his hay.
Crystal Fonte, Associate AD for Internal Relations, Jack Hesselbrock, Assistant AD for Business, Tommy Love, and Associate AD for Operations, T. Ross Bailey. Today we honor Mr. Windegger for recently being awarded the 46th James J. Corbett Memorial Award from the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics. The Corbett Award is presented annually to the collegiate administrator who through the years has most typified Corbett's devotion to intercollegiate athletics and worked unceasingly for its betterment. The award is the highest honor one can achieve in collegiate athletics administration. Congratulations, Mr. Windegger, for being awarded this great honor. Let's hear a round of applause for Fred.
Back here in Fort Worth, our game being broadcast on ESPN and ESPN 3D. So these super slow-mo shots look incredible in 3D. Look at that great play on the goal line by Anthony Harris to save the ball from crossing the plane and going into the end zone for a touchback. Here you see Sky Dawson barely hanging on before he gets leveled.
Very cool.
7-0 TCU. Virginia just had a 21-yard pass play, its longest of the opening quarter. And then on first down, they try to run, and Perry Jones gets taken down by a safety, Elisha Olabode, who was down in the box.
You're going to see Olabode all over the field. He's one of the third safeties, lines up on the outside, and he just beats one of the blocks off the edge. But Gary Patterson loves to use his three safeties in this 4-2-5 defense to create confusion, get 8 and 9 guys up around the line of scrimmage and run situations. And Olabode had a nice blitz on the last play.
2-yard setback, so 2nd and 12 from just shy of the 40-yard line. Here's a wide receiver screen to Darius Jennings, and he didn't get much. Planted at the 41-yard line, gain of 1. Here's Reese. Here it's 7-0 Reese, and a big third down for Virginia. Yet to convert on third down. 3rd and 12 after nothing officially on that last play. We're going to keep it on the ground here with Parks, and he's able to break a tackle and fumble the ball. Olabone hacked it loose, and TCU comes up with the recovery. Kenny Kane on top of it for the Horned Frogs.
Olabone with his second big play in this drive. This is a microcosm of the Virginia offense. A very conservative call on 3rd and 12. Running the ball, you think you're just going to get a punt, and all of a sudden you turn the football over. Sometimes this offense can't get out of its own way, and early in this game, a momentum changer to turn that ball over.
I mean, Brian, you've shown that you can protect Rocco. Why not take a chance on 3rd down to throw it down the field?
It's a confidence issue with Mike Rocco and this coaching staff.
Tucker on 1st down, right down the middle to the 36-yard line. Good gain on 1st down of 6 yards.
But it's going to be very hard to come on the road against a very good TCU team. Even though they're young, they got a lot of talent, and play conservatively and win. If Virginia is going to win, and Bill Lazor told us this last night, we've got to take some shots. It hasn't shown up yet in the first quarter.
They did take one shot, and the guy dropped the ball. But it doesn't mean you should just go away from it. I mean, go back to that. It was open, and you were able to protect your quarterback. Paul Hall on 2nd and 4. Dawson had to adjust his body to make the catch. He picks up the 1st down. Gain of 6 to the 30-yard line. Coaches told us they want to get Dawson more involved. He had 2 catches through the first 2 games and has 2 already today.
Yeah, they've got some diversity at the wide receiver position. Dawson really quick, smaller wide receiver. Then they've got Boyce, who we know can make plays all over the field. They got some young talent. Redshirt freshman Ladarius Brown, a big body, 6'4", 220 pounds. So they've got some different kinds and styles of body types at the receiver position to create options for Casey Paul.
1st down from the Virginia 30. Tucker in the backfield with Paul Hall. And here's Boyce, and he gets tagged at the 25-yard line by Harris, who tried to rip the ball out. Boyce comes into this game tied for the school record in career receiving touchdowns as a junior, and 23 straight games with a catch. Guy that's caught the eyes of some NFL people, just a junior that has speed and obviously has pretty good hands, as we've seen. Could have made a play on a deep ball earlier in the game, but they did call interference. So he's absolved there. Although you thought it was interference.
I did.
Quarterback draw. Paul Hall inside the 10, down to the 7-yard line. Is that called by the coaches, or is that the quarterback's decision?
That looked like it was a play call. I think they saw there's no linebackers. Take a look. No linebackers to be spoken for. And Casey Paul Hall sees it, just takes that ball on his own. And that's when you start to try to defend the perimeter. Virginia defending this perimeter game from TCU. It opens up the quarterback draw. And Paul Hall has the ability to get through there and make some yards.
Gain of 17. And now 1st down, and they've got the backup quarterback Trayvon Boykin in the game here to run the Wildcat. And he's taken down to the line of scrimmage. DJ Hill coming down, makes the play on the backup Trayvon Boykin, a freshman who has a rushing touchdown, can also throw the ball. He's perfect. 8 of 8 passing on the season. Red zone was a problem last week for TCU. They fumbled 3 times inside the 10, missed a 27-yard field goal. Still won the game over Kansas 20-6.
Yeah, that's not good production. I know it's been a point of emphasis this week with Casey Paul Hall, who had 3 fumbles. Last year they were so good in the red zone. 72% of the time they scored touchdowns.
Here's Tucker on 2nd down and goal from the 7. He picks up 2. Anthony Harris in there again for Virginia. Asar Walcott on his left end possession also. So 3rd down and goal. See if they can get a touchdown here on their initial red zone possession.
And this is the area of the field where they love to throw some of the bubble screens too, even at the 5-yard line, just because their wide receivers can block so well. They've got physical wide receivers. Cam White, number 88, 6'3", 200 pounds. They love to let him block and let Boyce get that ball one-on-one on a bubble screen.
And he's out there in the slot, the top of your screen. Paul will throw it to Boyce. He's got it. There's the record touchdown. His 18th career touchdown, passing Corey Rogers and former Dallas Cowboy Mike Renfro as the all-time leader in TCU in touchdown grabs. Two touchdown passes already for Paul Hall as TCU converts in the red zone off the fumble by Virginia. Overcrone puts it through. And just like last week, Virginia in a hole in the first half, down 14-zip to TCU. Good throw by Paul Hall there.
TCU athletics will launch around the Little Middle School and Smith Middle School for today's game as part of the Energy for Frog Zone powered by Devon Energy. These lucky kids are part of Devon Energy's commitment to math and science excellence in our area schools. Would your child love to trick or treat with Super Frog? Dairy Max, Albertsons, and TCU Athletics are celebrating nutrient-rich chocolate milk as the official drink of Halloween. Visit your local Albertsons starting September 26th. Sign up to win and get some chocolate milk for your Halloween celebration. Stir up a healthy Halloween for your family. Find out more at dairymax.org.
Let's go back and take a look at the touchdown. Watch how this motion affects the linebacker. He is going to run with motion, and right here is where you've got to not let the receiver get inside. There's a natural gap there, and Jaquan Hosky has got to keep him from going inside. Boyce does a nice job of crossing face, and it's an easy throw. Now that eye black, you know, that eye black is good in theory. The problem is you can't wipe your face with all the sweat on it. You get black all over your face.
So you didn't have any when you played?
I tried it once, and then I tried to wipe my face, and then my whole face was black, and I said, I'm not doing this anymore.
So Brady did not get it from his time with you at Michigan. E.J. Scott drilled at the 17-yard line. Big hit on special teams.
On the return.
Derek Kindred makes the stop. Here's Reese. Well, Reese, we saw Florida State last week destroy Wake Forest. They haven't been tested. They haven't seen athletes like Clemson, but the Seminoles have athletes themselves on defense to defend those guys. As Jones makes the catch out of the backfield as a big gain, wrapped up at the 31-yard line. and up close to 15 on the play. All right, so you said you didn't wear eye black, but our crew
That's the
found
one
a
game I
photo
did.
otherwise.
I wore it one time in the Rose Bowl game, and at the end of the game after we won, the eye black was all over my face. And so all the nice pictures I have from the Rose Bowl, I got a black face.
Hold on. You won the Rose Bowl wearing eye black, and then you went away from it.
I had
won the Rose Bowl. Keep
had
wearing it.
It was all over my face at the end.
Who cares? You won the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't because of the eye black.
Here's Jones running the ball and hurdling a defender. Jones, who was banged up earlier in the game on the first play with a knee, has bounced back nicely. That's an 18-yard run. Ibushi, the left tackle, with a block out there to spring Perry Jones.
Yeah, nice block. They pin the edge and pull the tackle around. Looks like Perry Jones put a knee brace on. Give him a lot of credit for coming back out and playing. It's not easy to adjust to putting a big old knee brace on your right knee, but he hasn't lost the athleticism.
How quick is our crew, by the way, to come up with that photograph of you with the eye black?
Makes me wonder what else they got down there in the truck.
Rocca with tons of time. Again, the offensive line giving him time to throw. Jennings, the intended receiver, the pass off the mark. It's 2nd and 10.
Yeah, absolutely. They're giving him time to throw. The question I had coming into this game was, could these wide receivers for Virginia get open against the secondary for TCU? And so far, they've gotten open a couple times, failed to make plays, and then other times there's just nowhere to go with the football for Rocco, and he has to check it down to his back.
The second time, though, Virginia has been able to move the ball against TCU. But they turned it over on their last possession, and the Horned Frogs scored. Here's Parks on the cutback. Beautiful move, and Parks has a first down inside the TCU 40. Both backs for Virginia similar, 5'8", 200 pounds. And here's Kevin Parks getting it done after Jones had some nice plays.
Great job sealing the edge by the tight end, Coulter Phillips. This is a big physical offensive line, and a nice job by Marks of seeing that vision, that cutback lane, and you see his ability to make people miss on the second level. I think this is the key for Virginia. You've got to come out with a big physical offensive line and hand the ball off to your backs and start to get a rhythm that way.
From the 39-yard line, play action, Rocco. And that pass, no one near the football. Dominique Terrell was about 5 yards downfield. There was some pressure by TCU. John Kuntz was back there, along with true freshman James McFarland. Now you look at so far, time of possession and total offense pretty close, but TCU on top, 14-0. Virginia has 7 plays of 10 yards or more. They're getting plays in chunks. They've been able to run the football. They have more yards on the ground than TCU does. Rocco to throw again on 2nd down. Out of the backfield, it's Jones. Shields 2 defenders. And out of bounds inside the 30. Close to another first down. You can see his talent, especially when he gets out in space after catching the football.
Yeah, 2nd and 10. They have an incompletion on first down. They just try to get the ball, get 7 or 8 yards back to their best wide receiver, Perry Jones. And they isolate him on the linebacker. He's got great discipline. He gets his depth of routes, and he's very friendly to the quarterback and makes a guy miss and gets a big first down. Quarterbacks love running backs that can catch the football because you don't have to force the ball down the field. If you come down, check it down, your guy can make 7 or 8, 10 yards for you.
Midway through the second quarter, it's 14-0 TCU. 2 touchdown passes by Casey Paulhall. Got a stoppage of play here and a timeout. Timeout taken by TCU. Actually, Virginia, excuse me. 2 remaining for the Cavaliers.
Fans, it's now time to test your vision with the TCU running back shuffle presented by Texas Eye and Laser Center.
trouble seeing your team, can't see plays? Well, Dr. Brian Rennell and Dr. Jerry Hu at Texas Eye Laser Center can help. To learn more or to schedule a free basic consultation, call or visit TexasEyeLaser.com.
Is Florida State a national title contender? We'll get a better idea tonight when the Seminoles host Clemson, 8 Eastern on ABC Saturday Night Football. Clemson and FSU.
I think E.J. Manuel's got to play a pretty good game to win. He's been a kind of a game manager, hasn't had to do a whole lot, but when you go up against an explosive offense, you're going to need to score points.
First down for Virginia at the TCU 29, trailing 14-0. Jones off the right side, undercut for a loss on the play by Chris Hackett. Redshirt freshman safety makes the play.
And this is part of the scheme for TCU. You're just going to see Hackett lined up just on the right side of your screen. He's lined up on the line of scrimmage, and the pulling guard doesn't block him, and he's not expecting him to be there. It's a different look defensively, and Gary Patterson has used it well throughout the years, and this offense for Virginia has to adjust to it.
Loss of 4. Second down and 14. High snap to Rocco. Has time to throw. And trying to hit Jones. There was some contact downfield, but no flag. It's third down and long. Here's Reese.
Number 33, Jones. It's third down.
All right, Reese, you think Missouri's going to beat South Carolina, right?
I do. I picked Missouri. I like James Franklin, and their ability. That banged up secondary for South Carolina is a concern.
Another timeout called by Virginia. That'll leave the Cavaliers with 1. So third down and 14 coming up when we return to Fort Worth.
Team's second national championship in the last.
Circle and Walmart Choice Premium Steaks. And for your chance to win the ultimate tailgate trip, go to ESPN.com/Kingsford. ESPN College Football. Brought to you by Tailgating Staples, Kingsford Charcoal, and Walmart Choice Premium Steaks. And for your chance to win the ultimate tailgate trip, go to ESPN.com/Kingsford.
Back here in Fort Worth, where TCU leads Virginia 14-0. Cavaliers trying to get points, but right now it'd be about a 50-yard field goal. Drew Jarrett, the kicker's long, is 46, so Michael Rocca will try to get some yards here, if not the first down. 3rd and 14. And a short throw deflected and an easy interception for Kenny Kane. Second turnover by Virginia. And Kane takes it back to the 39. Off the hands of Khalid Shepard for an INT.
And he was doing exactly what you said, Dave, just trying to get 7 or 8 yards to get 3 points on the board. And Khalid Shepard just lets this ball go right off his hand. Ball thrown well. And this is emblematic of what Virginia has struggled with a week ago. Turnovers. Now they fumbled on one drive and now an interception. And these are the details. If you don't handle the details and make these kinds of plays, you got no shot of winning on the road against TCU.
Remember, they also had a drop earlier on a long ball that may have led to a touchdown. Paul Hall will hand it off to Tucker on 1st and 10 off right guard to the 45-yard line for 6. DJ Hill on the stop. And we talked with Mike London yesterday. He said our psyche is damaged. We were humbled last week, and obviously this exacerbates the situation when you miss opportunities in this game and you're down 14-0.
And they turned the ball over 4 times against Penn State. Now luckily their defense played really well and they end up winning by 1 point. But you can't continue to put your defense in these situations.
4 missed field goals by Penn State, including a 42-yarder at the buzzer. Here's Tucker again on 2nd down. Into the pile at the 46 for a 2-yard pickup. Brought down by Brent Urban. Big 3rd down here for Virginia's defense. They've done a pretty good job against the run, holding TCU to 42 yards.
This is a rebuilt defense for Mike London at Virginia. Playing a lot of freshmen, 4 true sophomores in the secondary. Last week, in my opinion, was a really tough assignment for them. Young players going against the triple option is a recipe for disaster. They've come out and played much better today.
TCU pretty good on 3rd down so far. And a pitch and catch there with Cam White. Paul Hall finds him for a 1st down, sandwiched by Phelps and Nicholson, but that looked pretty easy.
Yeah, it was a nice recognition by Paul Hall. Recognized the blitz coming from the field and threw the slant on the weak side away from it. Good recognition.
No huddle here and hurry up offense for TCU. Paul Hall looking downfield. Pass is high, but again, it's Brandon Carter pulling it down. His second one-handed grab. He's inside the 10, inside the 5, and out of bounds. What a talent. Sophomore Brandon Carter making plays all over the field.
Virginia's not getting any jam in the slot on Brandon Carter. He's just got a free release, and he gets in the middle of the field. Great throw from Paul Hall, a little bit high again. You see the athleticism of Carter and the focus in the middle of the field to go up like that. You don't know if you're going to get hit or not. Great concentration by that young man.
Well, the coaches were talking about this kid, and he had 8 catches and 2 touchdowns last week in his breakout game against Kansas, and playing well again today. 1st down and goal from inside the 5. Tucker straight ahead, and he gets pushed back at the 2-yard line by Steve Greer. TCU 1 of 1 in the red zone, got a touchdown after going 1 of 7 last week.
Boy, if Brandon Carter comes on, and as he has in the last couple of weeks, and it becomes the complement to Josh Boyce and the ability of Casey Paul Hall to throw the football, and if they can find some stability at the running back position, even though they've had injuries, this offense can continue to grow and start to resemble some of these offenses in the Big 12 that we see that are explosive.
2nd and goal. Tucker again, dragged down in the backfield for a loss on the play. It's Will Hill on the stop. I mean, TCU is known for defense, but to compete in the Big 12, you got to score points, and Horned Frogs do have some talent. Now 3rd and goal, so is this a pass from Paul Hall here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you spread this Virginia defense out. A lot of youth in the secondary. Get as many of those young players in the secondary on the field as you can, and then flip that ball out to some of your playmakers, Boyce, and now Carter, maybe Ladarius.
That Brown is right in your picture in the bottom of your screen. Paul Hall looking middle of the field, pumps, now throws, low pass that is picked off at the 2-yard line. A diving interception. It was Kennedy, the true freshman, who dove for it. Let's see if he caught it.
Pass intercepted.
Ruling on the field is an interception by Kennedy, who cut in front of Boyce. True freshman from Richmond, Virginia, making a big play on the goal line for the Cavs.
Look like a true fan by heading to shop.gofrogs.com for hundreds of Horned Frogs items. Get the best customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and $4.99 3-day shipping on any size order. All in the official online store of the TCU Horned Frogs, shop.gofrogs.com.
Fans, also while you're on gofrogs.com, make sure to check out our online auction. Featured this week are several Rose Bowl game-worn jerseys and autographed items, including, you won't want to miss it, an authentic game ball from TCU's Red Over Grambling. Be sure to visit gofrogs.com today to make your bid.
For 26, Kennedy making the interception for Virginia. They'll take over 1st and 10 from their own 3-yard line.
Couple of turnovers in the red zone from Paul Hall last week, and now another one. You're going to see he's got 2 receivers that he's going through the read, and then the last receiver is going to come. He goes through the first play. The first receiver's not open, second receiver's not open. You just got to eat this football. You just throw it up for grabs and you turn the football over. This is the maturity that Gary Patterson wants to see from his quarterback to protect that football. You got to protect the football, especially in the red zone. It was a problem a week ago, and it was a problem on that last play.
It is an interception. First down from the 2. And out to the 5-yard line is Perry Jones. Gain of 3. Kenny Kane there defensively. So Paul Hall, who came in #1 in the country in pass efficiency, throws his first interception of 2012.
Yeah, and last week it wasn't interceptions, it was fumbles in the red zone. And some of those were his fault. One was a low snap on a center exchange. But that time in a situation, you got to know that you have 3 points. It's much different being up 17-0 than it is 14-0. Three scores.
Another run play. Jones looking for a cutback lane. It's not there. Loses yardage on the play. Mapunga is there for TCU. Here's Reese Davis in the studio. All right, some interesting early games. Again, Big Ten struggling with Wisconsin and Ohio State having some trouble in the first half. Here it's 14-0. A timeout called by TCU. 2:14 to play in the first half. Celebrating its 8th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $2.6 million in scholarship money. So how do you handle this, Grease, if you're Virginia? It's 3rd and 10. You're backed up to your 3-yard line. They've been conservative on 3rd down so far, and now you're backed up near your goal.
Yeah, I would still try to isolate my best receiver, who is my running back, on a linebacker. Protection has not been an issue, so just give him a chance to break a tackle.
Rocco from deep in his end zone dumps it off to Jake McGee, and McGee broke 1 tackle but will not reach the first down. It's leveled at the 11-yard line. Kenny Kane, who's been all over the field, got a fumble recovery, a pick, 3 tackles, is there for TCU. Timeout called by the Horned Frogs, so they'll have 1 timeout left, 2 minutes to work with. They should have good field position. Did Reese give the Wisconsin score? I didn't hear it. 14-0 TCU on top. We'll see if the Horned Frogs go after the kick here. Bozinelek to boot it away. They will set up the return. Good punt again. Driving Gray back. He's inside his 30-yard line. Cuts it upfield and has running room. Flags are down. So is Gray at the 49 in Virginia territory. David Bush looked like he pushed a Cavalier in the back.
Illegal block in the back. On the return team, number 15. 10-yard penalty from spotted foul. First down.
That'll put the ball inside the 25-yard line. TCU will have to go essentially the length of the field. There it is. The block in the back by David Bush, negating a good run back of about 20 yards. The number 2 and 3 teams in the nation highlight ESPN's college football primetime doubleheader tonight, presented by Hampton Hotels. At 7 Eastern, it's LSU, number 2 in the country, taking on Auburn, followed by 3rd-ranked Oregon and number 22 Arizona. A net of 66 yards after the penalty and punt. So 1:47 left, 1 timeout, and TCU at its 23-yard line. Paul Hall coming off throwing an INT. Quarterback run and doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage. Steve Greer there on the tackle.
It's a big series for Virginia defensively. They've played well, Dave, in this game. They've given up 2 big plays to Brandon Carter, 2 balls over the middle. But outside of that, defensively, they have done a nice job against this running game. And I think they've come out and played with the kind of energy and passion that we questioned coming off of a deflating loss from Georgia Tech a week ago.
And it looked like TCU was ready to go. They were calling their timeouts. They're expecting field position around midfield, but now with a penalty, kind of a weird call on 1st down, and then they run it here on 2nd down to Tucker. See if Virginia calls a timeout here. Snyder on the stops, 3rd down. So the penalty really helps Virginia, so it's at worst 14-0 going into the locker room.
That was an interesting play call. I fully expected TCU to come out and throw the ball in a 2-minute situation with timeout and try to get some more points, but I don't think Gary Patterson's very happy with the last throw that his quarterback had down in the red zone.
Not happy or not confident?
Not happy. Not happy. I think he's confident in Casey Paul Hall. I just don't think that he's happy with the way that he ended that last drive. And
he will throw on 3rd down and 5, and a nice grab along the sideline by Ladarius Brown, who had 5 catches last week against Kansas. Still, they have the timeout. 28 seconds left. They do have a true freshman kicker. They don't know what kind of a leg he has yet. His long on the season so far is 37. And they're at their own 37.
Darius Brown is a big wide receiver, 6'4", 220 pounds. If they can find some role for him in this offense, look out.
Paul Hall going to get nailed and sacked at the 30-yard line. Jake Snyder gets there with the sack. There is a penalty marker down on the far side of the field, and Paul Hall shaken up.
Well, they threw the out route to Ladarius Brown, and then Paul Hall wanted to throw it to him again on a double move. It was just defended well.
Illegal formation on the offense. Number 69 was lined up in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, first down.
They threw the out route to Ladarius Brown the previous play, and now they want to run the complementary route and get up the field, and it was covered very well by the true freshman Reese Canaday.
Brown went out of bounds anyway on his own. He couldn't have thrown it to him if he wanted to.
It looked like he was pushed out of bounds there. That official will throw his hat if he goes out of bounds either way, but it looks like he was pushed. But good job in the secondary by that true freshman, and then the rush finally got to him.
Yeah, it did look like Canaday maybe pushed him enough where they would have said he could come back in.
Yep.
As it is 20 seconds remaining, and we'll see if TCU is content just to run the ball here. They bring in a couple of tight ends. And it looks like they're happy just to go into the locker room with a 14-0 lead. Well, TCU is still not allowed a point, or a touchdown rather, since their bowl game a year ago. And they lead at 14-0, but Gary Patterson can't be happy with his team's play in the red zone again. Another turnover inside the 20. Paul Hall throwing his first interception of the year as Patterson huddles him up on the field before they go into the locker room. And TCU will start the second half with the football.
And Gary Patterson had some more words. First quarterback, he has high expectation. He's an emotional leader. He wants things done right, done in the right way, and done with a lot of detail. And those little things, missed assignments, missed reads will drive Gary Patterson crazy.
And coach is standing by with Jen Brown.
Thanks, Dave. Coach, we saw you gather your team together. What'd you say to him?
Well, I always do win at half. I always want to give them a thought before we go in. Number one, offense. We've had adversity. We fumbled the ball down there again. Throw an interception, and so you got to play it better if it was a 3-score game. Defense, we got to get takeaways. It's a long second half.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet.
Boy, as poorly as Virginia has played when it's gotten on TCU's side of the field, they're only down 2 scores. Maybe if they can get some big plays in the second half, it'll be a better game. Lexus halftime report now in Reese.
It's halftime at Amon Carter Stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, in its 108th year of playing Horned Frog music, please welcome to the field the TCU marching and
You're watching coverage of ESPN's college football presented by Cars.com from Fort Worth, Texas. It's number 17 TCU and Virginia. Due to time constraints, we move ahead to further action. You're watching coverage of ESPN's college football presented by Cars.com. From Fort Worth, Texas, it's TCU, ranked 17th, taking on the Virginia Cavaliers. We'll move to further action right after these messages. It's halftime here at TCU of ESPN's college football presented by Cars.com. The Horned Frogs taking on Virginia. Be sure to catch ESPN's College Game Day, built by the Home Depot, every Saturday starting at 9 on ESPNU. Chris Fowler is joined by Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit, Desmond Howard, David Pollock, Tom Rinaldi, and Samantha Steele for a full hour of all the latest news from college football. And from 10 a.m. to noon, Game Day moves to ESPN. We'll return with the second half of Virginia and TCU right after these messages.
Welcome back to college football on ESPN, presented by Cars.com. Welcome back to college football on ESPN, presented by Cars.com. Welcome back to college football on ESPN, presented by Cars.com.
What time is it?
Go Frogs.
Welcome back to college football on ESPN, presented by Cars.com.
What time is it?
Welcome back to college football on ESPN, presented by Cars.com.
What time is it?
TCU trying to extend the nation's longest win streak. The Horned Frogs have won their last 10 games entering today's contest, and they lead Virginia 14-0 at the half. Dave Pasch alongside Brian Greasy. TCU lost its leading rusher Wayman James to a knee injury last week. He's out for the year. They do have some other guys, but struggled to run the ball. They did get some big plays in the passing game in that first half.
Yeah, they got two really big plays from Casey Paul to Brandon Carter. The first one, the touchdown, just a great throw and catch. The coverage by Brandon Phelps was there. Just a better throw and catch. And then on the second play, Brandon Carter gets open over the middle of the field, and this was just a breakdown in coverage. But these are really the only two big plays that Virginia has given up. They've been good against the run and gotten some pressure on Casey Paul. And Casey Paul made one mistake in the first quarter on the interception. Just kind of threw it out there, hoping that something good was going to happen. And Virginia came up with the interception. That's been the real difference in the game. Those two big plays, 14-0.
Yeah, this season the Horned Frogs, 6 times they've had a first and goal. 4 times they have touchdowns. The other 2 opportunities they've turned it over. Sky Dawson on the kick return as TCU will start the second half with the football. Flags are down and TCU will be backed up deep. They're going to have to start this drive inside their 10.
So Peter Merrill on the stop.
Illegal block in the back on the return team, number 30. Half a distance to the goal, first down.
And let's check in now with Jen Brown down on the field.
Thanks, Dave. Well, if you guys remember that Mike London told us his focus with his young team in practice this week was not to look at the mistakes, but instead look at the positive, and that was his message to the team at the half. He said, look, we're only down 14-0. TCU is a top 20 team in the nation. We're at their home field. Don't hang your heads. Go out. Play like you need to play. We need to clean up those costly turnovers, but other than that, play like you've got nothing to lose. Dave?
You got them backed up here, Jen. First down from their 8-yard line. If you can get a stop and get field position to get some momentum. Paul Hall on first down finds Brandon Carter, who's been a star today. He's got 2 big catches. Hosky able to get him down in the open field after a gain of 6. Now Carter, a sophomore, had a couple of touchdowns last week. Now has 4 on the season. Over 100 yards receiving today.
I think that's a good message from Mike London to his team. I mean, they're a young team. Last week was a tough loss, but they are not out of this game by any stretch. They just need some good plays to defensively get a stop here early.
Another pass play on second down, and again it's Carter. First down catch, keeps the feet moving. Finally gang tackled at the 22-yard line.
Wow, there was an opportunity there, just trying to throw the ball quickly in the slot. And one of the Virginia defenders had a great angle right there, almost close.
And DJ Hill, the linebacker, stepping in front there.
Yeah, DJ Hill had an opportunity there. Very dangerous throw from Casey Paul.
Paul Hall, 12 of 18 passing. The 1 interception we showed you. And the 2 touchdown passes. Here's Tucker out of the backfield. Another first down. They'll mark him down at the 37-yard line, 15-yard pickup.
Yeah, I think TCU now is going to pick up the pace. Coming out of halftime, I think they want to start throwing the ball quicker in the slot. Tucker can be a weapon lined up in the slot on a linebacker, Greer. Easy catch him first down.
And Tucker now on the run. Gets to the 45 of Virginia. So you come on if you're Virginia. You got it backed up because of a penalty. First down to the TCU 8. And now the Horned Frogs on the move. That's an 18-yard run there. B.J. Catalon, true freshman in the game, to tailback. Catalon between the tackles, and he's stuffed. minimal gain on first down. Steve Greer, whenever Virginia needs someone to make a play, seems to be Greer, second in the ACC among active players in total tackles, second team all ACC a year ago.
You get the feeling that the conversation in the locker room with Gary Patterson and his crew was much different than what Steve Greer heard from Mike London in his locker room, and that was, hey, we need to come out, be aggressive, pick up the tempo, be perfect in our reads and our execution, and step on the throat of the Virginia Cavaliers in the second half.
Got to make a play on third down as well. TCU 6 of 9 in the first half. This is second down, and underneath is a wide open Dawson. First down, and he stayed in bounds. Got enough, though, to move the chains. And I don't think Patterson liked the fact that Dawson actually ran backwards. Probably like the fact he didn't run out of bounds, though, right?
Yeah, you know, I think he is looking to coach these guys in every detail of the game. This was a great read from Paul Hall, good execution and catch from Dawson, trying to get some extra yardage there, fighting. The coach does, you don't want to run out of bounds. The coach is going to yell to you about that. So he tries to stay in bounds and get extra yards. You get yelled at anyway.
Yeah, well, he almost didn't get the first down because he ran backwards. Here's a pitch, and having trouble getting the handle was Catalon. Eventually, Greer catches up to him at the 30-yard line, a pickup of 3. It will bring up second down and 7.
And Catalon is a guy that they were not anticipating using this year, not getting a lot of reps. But when you lose Ed Wesley in the springtime, and then Wayman James goes out with the knee, all of a sudden the freshman is going to be called upon as a change of pace back to Matthew Tucker, and he's performed well so far.
Empty set here and 5 wide on second and 7 for Paul Hall. And it's a quarterback run, and he's going to lose yardage. Brought down at the 32 for a 2-yard setback. Henry Coley on the stop. Well, TCU excelled on 3rd and long in the first half. Let's see what they do here on 3rd down and 9 in the 3rd quarter.
That worked the first time they tried that with Casey Paul Hall in the quarterback sneak with a no linebacker look. But that time Virginia brought the blitz and made a nice adjustment. Now here on 3rd and 9, I anticipate them bringing some more pressure to get to Paul Hall.
Again, he's had success on 3rd down and long. At 3rd down and 9, 10, and 10 in 3 consecutive plays, 3 consecutive series that were completed. Paul Hall throwing for Carter, who makes the catch, but well short of the first down. Still a great grab again by Carter. Pressure from Bill Schouts on Paul Hall.
Great pressure. They brought both linebackers in the A-gap over the center. You see them right here. They're going to come up the middle. And what that does is allow Schouts to have one-on-one coverage. And as they flush out Paul Hall, he runs right into Schouts. Nicely designed blitz by Virginia defensive coordinator Jim Reed.
46-yard field goal by true freshman Jaden Oberchrome, was 2 of 3 on the year. His long is 37. And this one's good. So TCU gets points on its opening possession, which started from inside its 10. Career long for the true freshman, 46-yard field goal for Oberchrome, and it's a 17-0 TCU lead.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
He'll get Tim Smith the ball.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
Back in Fort Worth. And our Aflac trivia question: TCU has produced a Super Bowl MVP and a regular season NFL MVP. Who are these two Horned Frogs? One's easy, one's
one's not
difficult.
so easy.
All right, the easy one is what? The easy one.
You want to give me the answer right now? Don't we have to wait?
Give me the easy one. It's a two-part
It
question.
might not be easy for everybody.
Shepard on the return for Virginia, and he can't make it to the 20. Well, miscues have hurt Virginia, putting on a pass play on 3rd down where it was dropped by Darius Jones.
Yeah, that was a touchdown, and you got to make those plays. Then the fumble by Marks, and then Khalid Shepard has the ball go right off of his hands. They were in position to at least kick a field goal when that interception happened. So they have certainly not helped themselves, shot themselves in the foot, and they've got to get back to attention to detail in the second half. And this drive, down 17-0 now, you have got to respond to that opening drive from TCU in the field goal.
Perry Jones is the running back. He was hurt on the opening play, but came back as the pass is caught by Jake McGee. They wanted to get him involved today, and they do here on the first play of the second half, out to the 24 for a 7-yard pickup.
Yeah, good start, play action. They haven't had success running the football in the first half, but play action worked that time. And if they're going to get some plays and get some momentum in this game, I think Jake McGee is going to be a big part of it.
McGee had 4 catches for 99 yards in the win against Penn State. Virginia also beat Richmond, but last week blown out by Georgia Tech 56-20. Rocco has a ton of running room. Rocco at the 40-yard line all the way to midfield. It's a gain of about 27 yards. And there was nobody on this side of the field, and Rocco saw it and took off.
That was a great read. He had a couple of options on this. It's basically a flanker drive concept. Both receivers are going to go high. Freeze it right there, guys. You see, they run with the secondary, and this is an opportunity for Mike Rocco. Lost his check down back. He says, I'll just replace it, use his legs, and get a big first down.
And they've been in TCU territory now a few times. They just have not been able to sustain drives. Let's see what they do here from the 49 of TCU. Here's a slant and pulled in by Dominique Terrell for about 8 on the play. Sam Carter on the stop.
And if I'm Mike Laser, offensive coordinator for Virginia, I'm going to start getting some tempo. You got a big play from your quarterback running the football. Got a nice gain on first down, 8 yards there. Get some tempo and some momentum. Speed this process up a little bit. They might be able to capitalize on that momentum.
2nd and 2 from the 41 of TCU. It'll be Jones on the cutback. Good patience, and he picks up a first down to the 38-yard line. Now Virginia's got something going here on this drive.
And the one thing about this offense, Dave, in particular, this West Coast style that's pretty conservative, doesn't take a whole lot of shots, is if you're not going to go 5 plays and score a touchdown, you're going to have to go 12, 13 plays. And what the defense is hoping that somewhere along there you'll make a mistake or a penalty and get out of rhythm. So I would expect Virginia to maybe take a shot as they get closer to the red zone fringe.
They got a bunch set just off the left side of the formation here on 1st and 10. And a pass play going downfield is Rocco. There is contact, but no penalty flag. It was intended down the sideline for Adrian Gamble and Jason Verrett on the coverage. Let's see the contact there. I don't know if the ball was in the air or not at that point.
Yeah, and that's your shot. You know, you get into that area of the field and they want to take a shot. I love the call. And I think that ball was in the air, Dave. That could have been easily a pass interference call.
Perhaps they didn't feel that it was catchable, but it wasn't catchable because the guy put his hands on it.
Absolutely.
Virginia has yet to convert a 3rd down. This is 2nd down and 10. They'd love to get a handful here, and that's why they run the ball. Nice spin move by Kevin Parks. And Parks keeping the feet alive. Diving for an extra yard to the 31. That's a gain of 7. Oleboat on the stop. So they're in a very manageable third down situation here. 3rd and about 3.
That was great balance from Parks. He's low to the ground, only 5'8", but 200 pounds, low center of gravity. Great vision and spin here. That's hard to tackle. Brings up a 3rd and 5 here. If I'm a quarterback in this situation, I never lose sight of my snap count. I might be able to get a free shot on a defensive line that wants to rush, especially Mapunga.
Rocco with time, and it is intercepted. Again, it's Kenny Kane making plays all day. Kane all the way to the 31. His 2nd interception. He also has a fumble recovery. The only senior starter on TCU's defense.
Well, Mike Rocco wanted to throw the ball to Perry Jones out of the backfield. He's going to be covered, and then Rocco tries to go to the number 2 receiver. Problem is he throws it behind him, and if you throw the ball behind on a shallow cross, you're asking for trouble. It was a good read by Rocco, poor execution and throw.
Yeah. And again, Virginia with an opportunity, a nice drive put together, but turnovers continue to be a problem. 40-yard return by Kane, and now TCU with the ball at the 31 of Virginia. Looking to maybe put the Cavaliers away here with a touchdown. And Paul Hall hit as he throws. It's high and incomplete. Nicholson had coverage on Boyce. And again, they got to Paul Hall. He had Jake Snyder back there.
I think Jim Reed, defensive coordinator for Virginia, has decided to bring pressure consistently. In your face.
So 2nd and 10. And Virginia can hold TCU to a field goal and keep it a 3-possession game. TCU trying to extend its win streak to 11. The Horned Frogs are at SMU next week. And then throwing it into the ground, there was a receiver in the area, Michael Tucker, Paul Hall. So it's 3rd and 10. TCU will have Iowa State in its Big 12 home opener on the 6th of October here. As mentioned, at SMU next week, a team that beat them here a year ago in overtime.
I'll tell you what, I've been impressed by the sudden change defense for Virginia. I mean, they've turned the ball over 3 times, and this defense has come out and been stout. They turned over 4 times against Penn State, and for those 4 turnovers, Penn State had negative 14 yards of offense afterwards. So I've been impressed with how this defense has responded.
But they've had trouble stopping TCU on 3rd down and long. So 3rd and 10 here for Paul Hall. A little half roll to his left and throws it up for grabs, and it's intercepted. The bad decision there. Kennedy with his 2nd pick. There's a penalty flag down, and Paul Hall is down as well in the backfield.
Jim Reed brought pressure once again, trying to force the issue with Casey Paul Hall and make him feel the pressure. They called a rollout and an ill-advised throw from Paul Hall. The question is, was there interference downfield on Virginia? And Paul Hall took a big hit after releasing that football.
Yeah, and Boykin may end up coming in the game here. Yep. I'm going to take Paul Hall out.
Pass interference. Defense, number 21. 15-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
That's on Brandon Phelps, which wipes out an interception on a play that Paul Hall just threw up there for anybody to get.
Yeah, he was trying to throw the corner route. And I think Brandon Phelps, you see him right in the middle of your screen, just grabbed him there, and that's a good call.
Really didn't need to do that either.
No. And let's take a look at what happened at the end of the play to Paul Hall.
Just thrown down by Brent Urban. And Boykin in trouble, taken down at the 20-yard line. So we don't know if Paul Hall was taken out because he was hurt or if they just wanted to run that wildcat with the back of Boykin. We saw him come in the game earlier because Paul Hall's ready to go into the next snap.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the reasoning was for bringing. He actually was grabbing his foot like he may have had a cramp. But I know they want to get Boykin in some situations and let him run the football.
Here's the play again where Urban pushes him to the ground and looked innocuous enough. He's back out there and shotgun here on 2nd down and 14 after a 4-yard loss. A middle screen drop this time by Carter. He had running room to it. He caught it. It's 3rd down and 14.
That was the perfect call for the perfect blitz.
Flag down to the secondary, Brian.
Yeah, they brought pressure off the edge, and they had the slip screen, which is a great call against that blitz. And if Carter would have caught that ball, he would have had a touchdown.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on the offense. Number 3, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. 3rd down.
It's on Brandon Carter, perhaps for his reaction after he did not come up with the catch. Let's see.
Yeah, after he dropped, he knew he had a touchdown, and you can't spike the ball in college. And unfortunately, he missed that opportunity.
So now that puts the ball back at the 34-yard line, maybe out of field goal range here for TCU. Be about a 52-yard field goal for a true freshman who did make a 46-yarder in the last possession. It's 3rd down and 29. And they're going to run the ball. Catalan. Nice play in the open field as he's tripped up at the 31 by Draquan Hosky. So it'll be about a 47-yard field goal try on 4th down and 24.
Good stop by this Virginia defense after the turnover. I know they were beneficiaries of that last penalty, but they decided to bring more pressure. The approach in the second half from this defense has clearly been get as much pressure on Casey Paul as you possibly can.
Question is, can they get anything going on offense? Can they sustain a drive and finish? 47-yard try. He made a 46-yarder on his last kick, and he buries this one as well. True freshman Jaden Obercrom, back-to-back 46 and 47-yard field goals to make it 20-0. TCU trying to extend the nation's longest win streak in FBS to 11.
ESPN College Football. ESPN College Football, brought to you by the Dr. Pepper Tuition Giveaway. Learn more at drpepper.com. And IHOP, everything you love about breakfast. ESPN College Football, brought to you by the Dr. Pepper Tuition Giveaway. Learn more at drpepper.com. And IHOP, everything you love about breakfast.
Great pictures from some terrific catches by Brandon Carter of TCU, but he couldn't come up with a catch in the last drive that may have resulted in a touchdown. The Horned Frogs settle for a field goal. They lead Virginia 20-0. Shepard running it out. Maybe should have just taken a knee in the end zone. You get a touchback to the 25, but these guys aren't doing it. Top 10 ACC rivals square off tonight on ABC Saturday Night Football, presented by Windows. Clemson and Florida State. A lot of people are picking the Tigers on the road. How do you see it, Brian?
A lot of people?
I've seen a lot of people picking Clemson.
I like Florida State, and I like them because of the offensive and defensive lines. Everybody talk about their defensive line. We did their game a week ago. That offensive line, while they're still green in pass protection, they are really good and in sync running the football. And Chris Thompson, James Wilder, Devontae Freeman, I expect to have big days.
Run play on first down for Perry Jones. Nice cutback. He's out to the 24. Clemson has a lot of athletes, but you have to wonder, Clemson really struggled with Auburn week 1. They won that game. We saw Auburn in person. They got issues.
Yep.
We'll see them tonight on ESPN against LSU. Wake hasn't been, or Florida State hasn't been challenged. We thought maybe Wake, because of their history with Florida State, would do that last week, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that you wonder is there's so much talent at the skill positions for Clemson, but can they block? You know, Bjorn Warner, Carradine, some of those guys. That'll be the real challenge.
Can anybody block Bjorn Warner? Trying to lunge forward for the first down is Jones, but he comes up short. Carter on the tackle. Here's Reese Davis in the studio.
Down by number 17, Shane Carter.
All right, Brian, what do you make of the Big Ten? Because so many people thought the Big Ten was going to be one of the top conferences this year.
Been very tough, very tough. I mean, they just have not played well.
Here's 3rd and 1. Perry Jones waiting. And going to be close, depending on if he got the ball across. Looks to be short. He definitely was out of bounds, but did the ball cross that first down marker before he went out? They may measure here. And the Big Ten, boy, he could really... Let's take a look here.
Great effort from Perry Jones, and I couldn't tell from that angle if his knee went down. If it didn't, then he may have got this first down.
The Big Ten could use a lift from Michigan tonight, right, against Notre Dame?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that would help.
Absolutely. I mean, Michigan State taking on the chin, last week. Certainly, Michigan has a great opportunity against a much improved Notre Dame team in front seven.
He's short. What do? You're down 20-0.
Yeah.
4th down in inches.
You got 4 minutes left in the third, and you're down 3 touchdowns. You got to go for it here.
We should note Wisconsin did come back to take a healthy lead over UTEP, but that's an offense that's been struggling. And Monty Ball was hurt in that game.
Well, just the fact that you said that they had to come back and against UTEP. I mean, this is Wisconsin we're talking about. So there's no question that the Big Ten has struggled this year so far.
4th and inches, Virginia will go. Down 20-0 with 4:16 to play here in the 3rd quarter. They'll go out of the eye with Kevin Parks, the tailback. And it'll be Parks. And he's got it. He was pushed back, but after he got the first down.
25 Parks, the ball carrier.
You gotta like the way both Perry Jones and Kevin Parks run the football.
That was good effort from Parks. They didn't even block the linebacker 44 in the hole, and Parks just had to put his head down and get that extra yard. Great effort. Stutzman didn't wrap up in the hole.
Now, is that by design offensively to put one-on-one with the back who has the ball, or somebody's supposed to block that linebacker?
Absolutely not. That was not designed to have a free guy in the hole.
Here's Rocco on first down over the middle. It's almost picked off again off the hands of Perry Jones. Normally a sure-handed receiver out of the backfield.
Well, that would have been a tough catch, and normally one that Jones would make. But it's the 3rd or 4th time we've seen the same route, the back out of the backfield. And I think now TCU understands that this is the way that Virginia is going to attack them. I'd love to see some of these wide receivers, Tim Smith, E.J. Scott, Darius Jennings for Virginia, start to get a couple of looks down the field. You got one-on-one with Jennings at the top of the screen.
Play action. And it's a screen to Perry Jones. And Jones on the cutback, gets to the 35-yard line before he spilled. So a gain of 8 yards, 3rd and short coming up.
but you can only throw the ball to the back so many times before this defense starts to key in on that. And I think that's what TCU is doing right now, and making it very tough for them to get the football. And you're getting one-on-one coverage on the outside, and at some point you've got to trust your quarterback and your receivers to beat that man-to-man coverage and take a shot.
3rd and 2, and Rocco in the gun. Here's a pitch, and Parks picks up the first down, and he stays in bounds down the sideline. Parks finally brought down inside the 20. Olabode able to track him down, but that's a huge gain on 3rd down and 2, and it maybe gives Virginia some life on offense.
Now, great block by the left tackle of Bushi. You're going to see him. They get the seal block on the defensive end, and then 72 gets the block on the corner, and great effort from Parks.
And it's their first 3rd down conversion of the game. It comes on 3rd down and 2, and they get 49 yards. Virginia in the red zone, trailing 20-0. And an empty set as Jones motions out of the backfield. A lot of those snaps of the quarterback at an high. Rocco in trouble. And it's hit as he throws. There was a receiver, Dominique Terrell, in the area. You have to go back to the Poinsettia Bowl last year, the last time the TCU allowed a touchdown. They held Kansas to a couple of field goals last week and then shut out Grambling State in their first game.
Yeah, not two offensive stalwarts, but nonetheless.
Wait, Charlie Weiss in Kansas, aren't they an offensive stalwart?
Not right now, no.
I say that in jest about Charlie Weiss. Offense struggled at Florida, struggled with the Chiefs. Run play. Jones finds a hole and nose dives to the 12-yard line for about 4.
33 Jones, the ball carrier.
Kevin White on the stop for TCU.
This is the area of the field where Virginia likes to use their tight ends. I think Jake McGee coming back in the football game, number 83. Big target. He made the winning catch against Penn State in 3rd down situations. I think Mike Rocco will look to his big tight end. There he is right there in the slot.
Play clock at 5. Rocco with time. Broken up on the goal line. A huge hit by Chris Hackett on Darius Jennings. Dislodging the football as it looked like Jennings was going to have a sure touchdown.
Down here in the red zone, it's a bang-bang play. And when the ball is in your grasp, you've got to come down. And you're going to get hit anyway. Might as well come down with it, but a nice hit, a good play in the secondary.
What a great job, too, of Hackett turning his head there and not going high to get a penalty. But 4th down, Virginia has to go. And a timeout. Virginia will talk about what to run here. Down 20-0 late 3rd. Notice there.
Yeah.
ESPN College Football available anytime, anywhere on your computer or mobile device via WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Something all of us at ESPN as broadcasters use a lot to watch other games and do some self-scouting as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so 4th down and 6. Obviously, it's a pass play. What type of pass play do you expect?
You know, I mean, the two playmakers for Virginia on offense, Perry Jones and Jake McGee, they're both in the game. But I would expect something to Perry Jones, maybe a screenplay.
He's lined up next to Rocco, who's in shotgun. 4th down and 6. They already converted a 4th down in this drive. Rocco going to get hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. It was pressure off the edge by Stanley Mapunga, their top defensive player, that forced a high throw. Olavo shaken up in the end zone as he went for the interception.
This is just what Mapunga does so well. You see him at the top of your screen. He's so quick, and then he's got the strength, and that's the sandwich that any quarterback does not enjoy, taking those kinds of shots. But he was trying to get the ball down the field to McGee, let him go up and make a play, and the ball was just too high.
Chucky Hunter was also back there for TCU, so the Horned Frogs take over on downs as they continue to look at Olabo in the end zone. Maybe he was just cramping up. He appears to be all right as he now jogs under his own power to the sideline. Now TCU ball is again the Horned Frog defense able to hold in the red zone. Now you wonder with Virginia, they've got a backup quarterback that has a very familiar name, Phillip Sims. He was at Alabama, was the #1 high school recruit, and could not beat out A.J. McCarron there, so he transferred, got a waiver. He's from Virginia, so he does have 3 years of eligibility left. You wonder if we'll see him at some point in this game. He did play last week against Georgia Tech and played well as Tucker runs off the left side, carries a defender with him near the 1st down marker. Meanwhile, the quarterback on the other side, Paul Hall, has had some poor throws, but for the most part has been pretty good again today, Brian.
Yeah, just that one decision before the half on the interception, that wayward throw. But other than that, I've been impressed with him. He's been calm, cool in the pocket. He's thrown some accurate balls down the field, and I think he's found a new toy in Brandon Carter to go along with Josh Boyce in the passing game.
Yeah, Carter made some spectacular one-handed catches today. 2nd game in a row where he's been over 100 yards receiving. And here Paul Hall will run and get crunched. He did get the 1st down, though. Shen has the latest on a Paul Hall injury earlier.
Well, Dave, you guys are wondering if he was cramping. He did come over to the sidelines. The athletic trainer spent quite a bit of time stretching out both of his calves. He then proceeded to push a teammate over so he could sit in front of the cool fan down here. You got to wonder, they said that it was over 100 degrees down here on the field at kickoff. You got to wonder if that heat's getting to him down there on the field.
Well, he's staying out there now with a 20-0 lead. We'll see how much he plays in the 4th quarter, depending on what TCU does on this drive when we start the period.
I know this. I wouldn't be running him on the option in the 4th quarter. I'm 20-0.
He did on the last play. Did get him a 1st down.
Ladies and gentlemen, your TCU Showgirl.
Time now to answer the Affleck trivia question. The Super Bowl MVP and NFL MVP. Okay, one's easy. LaDainian Tomlinson, NFL MVP with the Chargers. The other one, though, what do you think?
That one's a little more difficult. You got to go back, more obscure, to Neil O'Donnell. 2 interceptions in the Super Bowl. Larry Brown, who I didn't realize was a TCU graduate.
That was for the Cowboys, and then remember the Raiders paid Larry Brown big money in free agency. Didn't work out too well in Oakland for Brown. As Paul Hall on first down has a completion to Sky Dawson, or a gain of a handful. So next week, TCU goes to SMU looking for a little bit of revenge. That's the only team in the last 28 games to win here in Fort Worth. It was in overtime last year. Then Iowa State at home. Look at the end of the schedule there.
Yike. Welcome to the Big 12. You know, and these teams, West Virginia, it looks every bit as good as any team in the country offensively. Kansas State has a big game tonight against Oklahoma. I think they're going to raise some eyebrows with how they play in that game. In Texas, I mean, it's going to be a murderer's row for TCU.
Flag down as Paul Hall throws underneath, and Boyce can't make the catch. We'll see what the penalty marker is. Now, Kansas State gave up 58 to Oklahoma in Manhattan last year. You think that changes? Think the D is better tonight?
I do. And, you know, I'm buying what Bill Snyder is selling right now. I'm buying Colin Klein. I like the way that they grind it out on offense.
Illegal formation on the offense. Number 69 was lined up in the backfield. That penalty is declined. 3rd down.
And, you know, last week we saw on the farm a team in Stanford come out and grind it on the ground, play solid defense, and beat a really good offense. I think Kansas State approaches this game the same way. Grind it with Colin Klein and John Hubert. Play good defense. Just get to the 4th quarter, shorten the game, take a possession away from Landry Jones, and win it in the 4th quarter. They did it 4 times last year. They came from behind and won in the 4th quarter.
Here's 3rd and 6 for TCU, leading 20-0. Play clock at 1. They get it off, and the pass is high and nearly intercepted by Kennedy. Well, let's check in with Reese in the studio.
Number 11, Sky Dawson.
And Reese, there on your screen, you saw Paul Hall hobbling off. Looked like he's cramping again, as it's fair caught by Shepard at the 22-yard line for Virginia. Cavaliers with a quarter to go, down 20-0 to TCU and Paul Hall.
TCU and Fort Worth have always supported each other. The spirit of Fort in the Port of Galveston. This morning, the United States Navy officially commissioned its newest and fastest ship, the USS Fort Worth. As the USS Fort Worth, commissioned by Texas Congresswoman Kate Granger today, goes to sea, it takes with it the name of our city and the hopes of our nation. TCU has a long history of supporting our military. Our Veterans Plaza honors the Horned Frog graduates who have served in every conflict from World War I to the War on Terror. We know that the world is free because America is strong. Today, the USS Fort Worth takes its proud place in the United States Navy. TCU salutes the men and women on board and wishes the USS Fort Worth fair winds and following seas.
Number 2 and 3 teams in the nation highlight our primetime doubleheader tonight, presented by Hampton Hotels. Number 2 LSU meets Auburn at 7. Then at 10:30, third-ranked Oregon takes on an Arizona team that's averaging 93 offensive plays per game. Great doubleheader tonight on ESPN. Here, TCU in command, leading Virginia 20-0. The Cavaliers sticking with Michael Rocco at quarterback. Phillip Sims, the backup transfer from Alabama, the number 1 ranked team in the country currently in college football. So from the Virginia 22, best starting field position of the day for the Cavaliers. Rocco going downfield off the fingertips of Jones, incomplete.
Well, you can see that they don't want to throw the ball to the receivers at all. This is a deeper route, and it's to Perry Jones. And Perry Jones has got to be getting tired after a while. This would have been a tremendous catch over the shoulder in the middle. You know you're going to get hit, but I don't understand why they're not taking a shot with some of these wide receivers. I know they're young, but they got Tim Smith back, and he's a junior, and they're going to have to get some seasoning for some of these younger receivers and give them a shot in a game that you're down 20-0.
On 2nd and 10, Rocco going deep and overthrew Jennings. What does this say about how the coaches feel about Phillip Sims, that maybe we're not seeing him at this point of the ball game?
Well, you have to realize Phillip Sims went through the entire spring at Alabama. He wasn't at Virginia, and then he made the decision to transfer when they went with A.J. McCarron, and so he didn't get there till the beginning of training camp, and he has to learn a whole new offense, a lot of different terminology. That's very difficult to do in the National Football League, much less in college when you only have 20 hours a week to really study this. So I don't think they feel he's got a good enough grasp of this offense in a short amount of time.
3rd and 10 for Rocco, who's 13 of 28 on the day, 2 picks. Everybody covered downfield, so Rocco will run, try to hurdle the defender. Could not get the first down. Antonio Graves there for the tackle. And you would think Virginia will go for it here on 4th down 20-0.
Looks like they're going to punt it away here.
Why?
You know, Mike London doesn't want to lose 28-0.
Does it matter?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm on your side that you should never give up in a game. Not to say he's given up, but
it's 4th and 3. It's not like it's 4th and 13.
Yeah.
Goes in to look to punt. And fair caught by Dawson at the 27-yard line. TCU has the ball, 13 minutes remaining, and a 20-0 lead.
Flag on the play.
Casey Paul Hall has not been sacked, but Virginia has gotten some pressure on him today.
Yeah, they have. They brought a bunch of different blitzes throughout the game and knocked him around. And he, the day in the life of a quarterback now in the Big 12. And after you get knocked around a bit, come over and go to the spa. You know, get rubbed on a little bit.
Now, what is that thing he's using there?
Had that. That's a roller. It's got little rings on it, and it works out your muscle. It's a good tool. You should use that. Incorporate that in your workouts.
Just need somebody to do it for me. I can't do it myself. And it's not going to be you, pal.
No, not volunteering.
Penalty flag down as Boykin is in at quarterback now for Paul Hall.
False start. Offense. Number 75. 5-yard penalty. First down.
All right, let's check in with Jen down on the field.
Chrissy, I don't know what kind of spa you're going to, but I saw his face over there on the sidelines, and he was grimacing in pain as they were rolling out both of his calf muscles. They also took ice towels, were massaging him. Definitely something that he's dealing with over here, but I don't think it was pleasure on his face.
Well, this also gives Boykin an opportunity to play. Jen, they do like him. He's a redshirt freshman who's shown that he can throw the ball as well. He's going to run it here and picks up good yardage. Past the 40-yard line, stays in bounds. And then Boykin fumbled the ball. And then he falls on it. Actually, it was Porter that fell on the loose ball, but boy, Virginia had a chance to get a takeaway. And David Porter downfield falls on the fumble.
I was watching the fans as Boykin bust through the line of scrimmage, and they all stood up. What does this young freshman from Mesquite, Texas have? Look at his ability to run. He's big and strong. And then everybody collectively went, oh, no. But he's still young. He's got a lot of talent, but he's got a lot to learn,
well,
too.
He's coming out now, so I wonder if Patterson had thought, I'm going to play this kid the rest of the game, but then he makes a mistake by fumbling a great run, 42 yards, but then he fumbles it. Oh, his shoe came off, excuse me. His shoe came off, so he's out, and Paul Hall's in.
It's a wild ride.
And penalty flag for delay now.
Delay game. Offense. Number 4. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So Boykin will go back in here eventually, just lost the shoe. Although Patterson probably not happy with the fumble. Liked the run, but just didn't like the turn, or almost a turnover.
Well, Gary Patterson is really excited about this young kid. He's big and he's strong. He can throw it a mile, and he's the future of TCU.
Paul wide open is Dawson. Inside the 5, and then he lost the ball. It'll go out of the end zone for a touchback. More fumble problems for TCU. You heard Patterson tell Jen Brown at halftime he's still unhappy with the red zone effort and the turnovers. They almost gave it away twice on this drive.
What a throw from Casey Paul Hall. I mean, that's a great throw, but certainly they got to fix up these turnover issues before they start playing the Oklahomas and Texas of the world in the Big 12.
ESPN College Football. ESPN College Football is presented by Cards.com, where confidence comes standard, and in part by Dove Men Plus Care. Be comfortable in your own skin.
Well, Paul Hall with a nice throw on the last play, but it was fumbled through the end zone by Dawson as he tried to pick up extra yardage. Looked like he was close to being down, but on the field they ruled that he was not down. They decided not to review it. Probably would have been enough video evidence anyway to overturn it. So it's Virginia ball at the 20 with Phillip Sims in the game at quarterback. Harry Jones gets the call on first down, picks up 3 before Sam Carter greets him. Here's Jen.
Tight ends and special teams coach Dan Sharp had some choice words for Dawson when he came off the field just there. I can't say them on TV, but he was not happy. Dawson came over to the sidelines hanging his head. Not too happy about that fumble.
Well, this is an issue. Patterson talked about it with us for a while yesterday about the turnover problems and just hanging on the ball, getting lackadaisical. And he said, you know, Paul Hall is really the biggest culprit of that. Sims will throw on second down. Steps away from pressure. He's got an arm, but well underthrown there. Let's go to Reese in the studio.
That's why he's not playing.
It's really hard to figure out the Big Ten so far this year. Even Ohio State today struggling with winless UAB. Central Michigan leading Iowa. Here's Sims on third down. And another miserable throw by Sims. That one should have been picked off by Olabo. So we've seen 2 passes from Sims, and both were pretty poor throws. Fourth down.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why he's not playing.
Yep.
And it's hard to come in and learn a new system, know where everybody's going, get the protection straight. And this style of offense, the West Coast system, a lot of the responsibilities in the quarterback's hands to get protection set, to change plays, get in and out of the right plays. That's a big reason why Mike Rocco has continued to play every week.
Sims does have 3 years of eligibility, so maybe in time when he gets used to the offense. Certainly has potential. That punt was nearly blocked. Dawson, who had the fumble earlier, elects not to fair catch, and he's loose after making the first man miss. Dawson inside the 40-yard line, inside the 25, dives past the 20 and out of bounds. There is a penalty flag down, though, back at the 42 in TCU territory, which means it's probably coming back for a block in the back.
But still, great effort from Dawson, and whichever coach yelled at him on the last play for fumbling should go and shake his hand for a great comeback play.
During the return, holding on the receiving team, number 16. 10-yard penalty from spot of the foul, first down.
Especially since Jen said the guy that yelled at him was the special teams coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go make a play for you on special teams, okay, Coach?
Bill Havens with the block in the back. Or holding around
I don't know.
Yeah,
They call the holding, not the block in the back there.
So Boykin comes into the game at quarterback for Paul Hall. Lost his shoe on the last possession. Lost the ball, too, after a 42-yard run. And that was kind of awkward. He started running before the ball was snapped. Flags down. There were others who started running.
Ball start. Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's Big V, the backup right tackle.
Well, that's not uncommon when you go to a new quarterback and you have a new cadence and the rhythm is just a little bit different. These offensive linemen, they've been out there in the hot sun coming off the ball for 3 quarters, and now all of a sudden you got a different rhythm of the cadence, and you get a false start penalty.
Tucker off the left side. It's a couple. But based on what you've seen out of TCU today, can you really get a better feel for how they're going to perform when they get into some tougher Big 12 games. I know they played Kansas on the road and won that, but they got West Virginia on the road, Oak State on the road, Texas on the road, Oklahoma here, Kansas State here.
Oh, and I think Gary Patterson knew coming in this was going to be a completely different kind of year for two reasons. One, obviously playing in the Big 12, better competition than the Mountain West. Number two, though, was the amount of young players he was going to have to play. 15 true freshmen. 80% of his club is a freshman or sophomore. And I think the expectations because of that are different at TCU this year than they've been in the past 4 or 5 years. And I think this team is going to continue to grow. Some of these younger players got some experience today. And then he's got a veteran quarterback that can pull the trigger. And I think Gary Patterson is a master of taking the temperature of his young guys, motivating them, understanding the big picture of where they are, the opportunity TCU has going forward. And I think that they'll challenge some of those teams. Certainly not going to have the same kind of record they've had in the past, though.
And Paul Hall comes in here to throw the ball on 3rd down and 15. And he's going to call a timeout. Play clock was at 1. And the other thing that'll be interesting to watch is the demeanor of Paul Hall as the season goes along. Certainly a guy that can make some plays, but a fiery personality.
In addition to our big time new conference, we've also got big new stadiums, bigger graduate classes, and bigger reputation to become a nationally recognized academic institution. So when a school from Big D challenged us to see who could be the first to gather gifts from 1,500 young alums, we said, "You're ours." We're asking all Horned Frog anyone down the phone. Show SMU how big we are by making a gift of any size by noon on September 28th. Remember, the size of your gift doesn't matter. Your participation does. You can make a lasting impact on current and future Horned Frogs. Show your pride and make any size gift today. And show SMU why the Horned Frogs deserve our place at the big table. Give today. Pound the coin. Go for it.
TCU soccer returns to action next week as they open Big 12 play at home versus West Virginia on Friday at 7 p.m. Kansas on Sunday at 1 p.m. The Frogs have a 2-match home game streak, have 5 shutouts on the season. Make sure to come support your TCU women's soccer team next weekend and purchasing tickets at gofrogs.com.
TCU 10 minutes away from extending the nation's longest win streak to 11 games before the Horned Frogs play SMU on the road next week. Then their Big 12 home opener against Iowa State October 6th. Paul Hall had trouble with the snap, and it's a run play at Catalan on 3rd and 15. And he gets about 5, so TCU will punt the ball. Paul Hall so far today has thrown for 246 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had the 1 interception in the red zone. His first pick of the year. Came in leading the nation in pass efficiency after finishing 12th last year. Shepard is the deep man. This is a killer punt. And muffed at the 10-yard line. Shepard picks it up and gets dropped at the 12. Gamble was down there for TCU after a 57-yard punt. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup heads to the northeast, and the Magic Mile in New Hampshire as Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart are close behind Brad Keselowski, while Dale Earnhardt Jr. seeks his first chase win. It's the Sylvania 300 in New Hampshire tomorrow, 1 Eastern on ESPN. Coverage starts with NASCAR Countdown presented by Tire Rack. Jeff Gordon on the pole. And Virginia about to fall to 2-2. They got Louisiana Tech next week. They do miss Florida State and Clemson on the schedule. They have some winnable games in the ACC. And obviously they got to figure some things out on offense. Run play on first down to Parks. Doesn't get much. Maybe 2, brought down by Antonio Graves. Let's take a look at the Associated Press top 10. And Brian, I want to ask you, of the top 10 teams here, who is most likely to get knocked off?
Well, I've got 3 for you. I'd take Oklahoma. We talked about that. I like Kansas State there. I actually like Missouri on the road in the SEC against South Carolina. And then I think FSU will beat Clemson in a year of upsets, it seemed like, early in the season. How about that? 3 in the top 10 going down.
Yeah, the third one, though, I mean, one of the 2 is going to lose. So
yeah,
one's given to you as that pass is dropped by Friedman. Well, we saw Florida State in person, and it's hard to say that they're back to being a national title contender, but clearly they have the athletes to match up with Ellington and Watkins and Hopkins and Todd Boyd.
Here's why I think they're a national title contender, because how weak the ACC is, and the fact that I think they can beat Virginia Tech twice. And if they do that, they'll be undefeated and go to the national championship game. That's why I think they are a national title contender.
Yeah, Virginia Tech really struggled last week and lost to Pitt. Here's third down for Sims, and he's going to go deep. Got him in, and it's pulled in by Dominique Terrell. That was a beautiful throw, and Virginia's in TCU territory.
Man, I'm just excited they threw the ball down the field to a wide receiver. I mean, I've been calling for this all day, and finally Dominique Terrell, who's got speed. Remember, he is a former quarterback in high school along with his running mate Darius Jennings, but he's got speed, and this is what they need to do. Let him get off the line of scrimmage and use that speed and let him go get the ball.
How'd you like the throw?
Great throw.
So first down at the 47-yard line. Sims facing pressure, steps up in the pocket, and he'll take off and dives to the 39-yard line. 8-yard pickup.
That's an important drive for Phillip Sims. I mean, despite the fact that it's 20-0, when you're the backup quarterback, you don't care what the score is on the scoreboard. Hey, man, I finally got my chance.
Yeah.
Mike Rocco's on the sidelines. It's my chance to show what I can do and how I process the offense and the plays that I can make. So this is big right now for Phillip Sims.
Played in 8 games at Alabama last year. Then last week against Georgia Tech was 6 of 8 for 2 touchdowns, but that was at the end of the game when the Yellow Jackets had a lot of their second-team guys on the field and 13 guys. Here's Sims to throw again. And he'll go deep. His arm might have been hit as he threw it deep, intended for Coulter Phillips. There was pressure in the backfield.
Yeah, these are the kinds of plays that worry me about Phillip Sims. This is not where the ball is supposed to go. The ball is supposed to go on an inside breaking route, and he's throwing the ball to a guy that's clearing for the inside breaking route. So what that tells you is doesn't have a great grasp of the offense. You're never going to throw the ball to a guy who's clearing out for the underneath route. The ball should have gone on the dig.
See what he does here at 3rd down and 2. And it's a wide receiver screen that's thrown behind Darius Jennings. So it's 4th down. Virginia will go for it. At least we think they'll go for it. Thought they would earlier, and they didn't.
And the thing that offensive coordinator Bill Lazor told us about Phillip Sims and what he needs to improve is his footwork and his speed in the pocket. Great talent, great arm, but to play the position in this style of offense, your feet a lot of times give you the rhythm and tell you the timing and where to throw the ball. And right now, Phillip Sims' feet and his pocket movement is a little bit too slow.
They've run 20 plays in TCU territory without a point. 4th down. Sims facing pressure. Gets out of there. Can run for the first down and does. I want to go back to that last play as he gets the first down. That screen pass, you talk about the footwork. Can that even impact you on a short throw like that?
Absolutely. I mean, what people need to understand is throwing the ball starts with your feet and starts with your body position. And a lot of times when you have to go through a progression offense like the West Coast system, your feet tell you when to progress from the first read to the second read. You go to the first read with no hitch. You take one hitch, you go to the second read. Second hitch to the third read. And that right now is what Phillip Sims is struggling with.
Did you play quarterback or something? That's pretty good stuff. Sims on 1st and 10. stepping up, again going deep, and this one should have been picked off. Boy, Verrett, almost too easy. He jumped for it and dropped it. Now, was that a read or just a bad throw there by Sims?
Well, it's back-to-back throws where, you know, it's just kind of hoping. I don't like hope throws. I'm going to throw it down there and hope something good happens. You like in this offense to be exact, and you know the footwork here is not bad, but just throwing the ball up in the air is never going to be a win for the offense.
Sims throws a strike this time to Terrell, and it's a first down to the 15-yard line. 18-yard pickup there.
That one had a much better look to it, didn't it? I mean, you drop back, you get to your back foot, and then you come forward, one hitch, and throw a fireball on an in-breaking route. I mean, that's what the quarterback position is supposed to look like, and these are what the throws are supposed to look like. And I think the talent is there. It's just a matter of understanding the offense and where everybody is, and I think you'll eliminate some of those hope throws down the field.
So first down from the 15, Virginia trying to get into the end zone. Sims fires high, incomplete, trying for McGee. As Virginia is trying to end that TCU streak without allowing a touchdown. Got to go back to their bowl game last year, the last time the Horned Frogs gave up a TD. There's no question, though, even with the struggles today and last week, that Mike London has the program going in the right direction, Brian. You look at what they did last year. They lost a bunch of those guys. It's a young team. It's a good football coach.
Great football coach, great recruiter, great man. I mean, he's the kind of coach that you feel really good about sending your young son to be mentored by and get a great education at the University of Virginia.
Design quarterback run. And brought down to the 12-yard line. He was a runner, so there's no horse collar tackle. It was in between the tackle box. Johnson grabbed it from behind.
The other thing that Mike London brings to the equation for Virginia, we talked with him about it a little bit last night, is he's from Hampton, and he's from the area where they recruit a lot of these young players from Virginia Beach area, and he's got experience there. And his family, his father has been a high school coach there for a number of years, so he goes way back in those roots in Virginia, and I think it's starting to show with some of the young talent that he's recruiting.
Sims on third down. And pass a little behind the intended receiver, but caught right at the first down marker by Perry Jones. See where they spot the ball. Good job by Sims hanging in there, making the throw. Here's a first down.
Great catch again. Perry Jones, they're continuing to isolate him. Ball was thrown a little bit behind him, and he reached back and caught that football. I think Perry Jones has got a future at the next level, just the way that he understands routes and protections and can get open against linebackers.
And Parks is in the game now, running back for Virginia. He's a sophomore. First down goal at the 5. And Parks off the right side gets smacked. Joel Hasley and Kenny Kane. Boy, Kane has had a game, huh?
Absolutely.
2 picks, fumble recovery, handful of tackles.
A lot of the starters are still in for TCU. I think Gary Patterson wants to continue that streak of not giving up a touchdown. There's no question that they are still playing hard defensively. Mapunga's still in there.
Actually lost a yard in that last play, so second and goal from the 6. 4.5 to go. 20-0. 14th play of the drive. Sims with time, waits, got a man on the back of the end zone. It's a touchdown, E.J. Scott. Again, Sims hung in there, was patient, and in the back of the end zone, Scott came open.
And he had a lot of time. Great job up front from that offensive line, giving him an opportunity. And again, a wide receiver, a lot of attraction from the tight end. They know TCU does that. He'd like to throw the ball to him, and Scott just slips right behind him. Keeps his feet in bounds.
First touchdown allowed by TCU since the bowl game last year. The extra point is good to make it 20-7. E.J. Scott, second touchdown of his career. So finally, Virginia able to get into the end zone, but TCU for the most part has dominated the game. 3 takeaways. Kane has accounted for 3 of them for TCU as Virginia's lined up for the onside kick. Can get that one bounce and fair catch. That was just a roller and easily recovered by TCU, but you have that new rule this year where you can have that one bouncer high and then you can fair catch it if you're the defense. Didn't have to there. That was not a good onside kick.
Well, I think that's the only option now, right? I mean, it's hard to have a good onside kick now because you can't drive it in. True. So I think the strategy now, if you're going to do that, is just hit it as hard as you can along the ground and hopefully it hits off somebody's leg. Or you pop it over the initial line and try to beat him in a race down to cover that ball up. But you're not going to see the big one hopper in the air.
Paul Hall stays in the game at quarterback. Ball on the 48 of Virginia. And a run play. Tucker trying to stay in bounds. Penalty flag down. He went out of bounds after a gain of about 6.
Holding, offense, number 85, 10-yard penalty, first down.
You know, one of the questions coming in for me for this TCU team and how they'll compete in the Big 12 was their offensive line. They've got a true freshman starting at right tackle. I know Gary Patterson is really excited about him. Avion Collins is a true freshman from Houston, Texas. He's got a lot of talent. I know he's young, but he's 6'6", 310 pounds. And watching him on film, he runs really well downfield. I know they're excited about the potential of him for the next 4 years.
And throwing the ball here, Paul Hall has a man wide open. It's Josh Boyce. He's to midfield. They also like their backup right tackle, another true freshman. You want to say it?
Mr. V. Big V.
Halapulavati is his first name. Vaitai is his last name. It's okay. You're the analyst.
Yeah,
I'll take care of the pronunciations.
Yeah, I know my role here. They also like their left tackle. You got his name too?
Yeah, Tayo Fabuluje. Don't test me. I've been doing this for a while. So 2nd down and 12. TCU going to run its win streak to 11. That's the longest in the country before playing SMU and Iowa State up next. Iowa State not an easy game, even though it's home. As Paul Hall waits, now fires deep, showing off the arm strength. What a toss to Cam White to the 23-yard line, 27 yards on the pickup.
That's another first down. TCU.
They found something out. Brandon Carter has made a lot of plays today. Cam White is another receiver that can make some plays on the back end. And
look at that throw from the near hash.
Yeah, could have used a few more yards. There would have been a touchdown. I'm picky though, you know.
Man.
If you want touchdown passes, you'll throw the ball out there, right?
Now we got a stoppage here. They may look
like his right foot may have
Previous play is under review. The ruling on the field is a completed catch inbound.
So White perhaps stepped out before.
Yeah, looked like his right foot. See if it touches the chalk. Definitely comes down first.
Well, it's the heel also, not just the toe, but because of the shadow, there may not be enough evidence to overturn that.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah. I think it'll stand. Got to have indisputable video evidence to overturn it. And they have what you're seeing as they look at this.
You know, they're going to need guys like Cam White. They're going to need him to produce as you get into some of this schedule later on in the year to keep up with offenses, you know, like Oklahoma State and like West Virginia and like Oklahoma. They're going to have to score some points. And I know they've liked what they've seen on defense so far this year. But I think they're going to need to score points. And having lost a couple of their really good running backs, I think Casey Paul Hall and this bevy of wide receivers are really going to have to tote the load as the year goes on.
Got to keep an eye on this year. Everybody knows about Josh Boyce, but Brandon Carter, and we've seen it now, back-to-back games, over 100 yards. talented kid. He's 5'11". He made 2 great one-handed catches today.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. First down, TCU.
Okay, so they felt they had enough video evidence to at least uphold it, and that's why they say the call is confirmed.
I'd love to see Brandon Carter gain a little bit more weight, have a few more peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. He only is 161 pounds in the program, and if he can put on a little bit of weight and keep some of that speed that he has, only a sophomore, he's got a great future ahead of him.
So it is a completion, and Paul Hall is nearing 300 yards, 281 now on the day. First down at the 23, and Tucker. Good job up front by Virginia to get him down after a gain of 1. True freshman Mike Moore there. They've got some good-looking youngsters on this defensive line. Eli Harold, a true freshman from Virginia Beach. Mike Moore, true freshman from Maryland, whose dad, Sean, his former player, was a quarterback here at Virginia. He's now the tight ends coach. Actually, his number has retired at Virginia. They like what they've got in terms of the youth. The question is, what do they have a quarterback? And we've gotten a chance to see Phillip Sims, but Rocco won some big games for him last year, won at Florida State. And the ACC, as you said, I mean, Florida State and Clemson right now appear easily to be the top 2 teams. Virginia Tech coming off that bad loss last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, in my opinion, this is a big game in the ACC tonight, obviously, with Clemson and Florida State. Virginia Tech was not impressive. Now, was that a bigger sign of what their talent level is like against Pitt, or was it just an aberration? So, but certainly the ACC doesn't appear as strong as it has in past years.
And if Clemson beats Florida State tonight, all of a sudden they jump into the spot that we were giving Florida State as maybe a national title contender, because you look at the rest of Clemson's schedule, and if they can beat Florida State, they probably can beat just about anybody left on their schedule. Here's a little screen pass to B.J. Catalon. He's to the 15-yard line for about 7 yards, so 3rd and short coming up. And another timeout taken here by Virginia, exhausting all of them. Now, Florida State last year, remember early in the season, hit that rough stretch where they lost 3 in a row. One of those games was against Clemson. It's on the road. Taj Poit played great in that game. Sammy Watkins, we kind of saw him the week before bust out the true freshman against Auburn, and then the rest of the country got to see him in that game against Florida State with 2 touchdowns.
The difference last year was, Florida State had just lost to Oklahoma, and E.J. Manuel was out of that game. I think the defensive front was much younger than it is this year. There are more seasons with another year, and I think it's a completely different Florida State team and Florida State psyche this year. The thing I noticed last week when we were doing that game was the physicality of Florida State, both on the offensive line and in the secondary. I thought LaMarcus Joyner from the safety position was really coming up and being physical and hitting some wide receivers. So I think it's going to be a great game tonight. I think closer than people think.
TCU calls a timeout. They didn't know which personnel was supposed to be on the field and how many players are supposed to be on the field. And it seems that, certainly the loss of Brandon Jenkins hurts their pass rush, but they still have guys. We saw Warner. We saw some of the young players they have. You got Carradine. But Manuel, it seems like the spotlight is on him. Can he be the guy to lead them to win against Clemson and eventually maybe in a bigger game?
I don't know that he has to be that guy, though. There was a team at LSU with Jordan Jefferson that won a lot of games, and Jordan Jefferson wasn't the all-star quarterback. He managed it. He used his feet when he needed to. He had great defense and a running game, and I think Jimbo Fisher saw that, came from LSU, understands that recipe, and I think that's what he's trying to do at FSU now. Look like an SEC style of team, which you don't need a great quarterback to win.
We saw Chris Thompson in the run game. He rushed for 200 yards in like 5 or 6 carries as Catalan is stopped short on 3rd down and 2, so 4th down coming up. So they have other weapons there, and they've got some good young receivers also there at Florida State. It's going to be a fun game to watch tonight. A lot of talent on the field.
I'll say this. E.J. Manuel doesn't have to be a superstar to win the ACC. He will need to be a much better player to beat an SEC team in a national championship game. I will say that.
But we've seen also in those games that you don't have to throw for 300 yards to win those games.
But last year, you know, the rematch, Alabama and LSU, I really felt like the difference in that game was A.J. McCarron. And I think that was the big reason why Alabama won.
TCU calls its final timeout and see what they do on 4th down and 4. Here are the numbers so far this year. And against, you know, for Florida State anyway, not really good competition. You could argue the same for Clemson. They played Furman last week and beat Auburn week 1, but Auburn really struggling.
Yeah, I don't put a whole lot of stock in the numbers at this point in the year, you know, and even last week in the win over Wake Forest, I think E.J. Manuel only had 7 attempts at halftime. So they were really working on that ground game, trying to solidify that. So we don't know a whole lot about what kind of year and what kind of player E.J. Manuel is going to be and how different he'll be this year than he was a year ago.
TCU electing to go for it here on 4th down and 4. Neither team with a timeout. 20-7, the Horned Frogs on top. Here comes a blitz. Paul Hall gets rid of it, complete. First down and more. Ladarius Brown to the end zone. Touchdown, TCU. First career touchdown for Ladarius Brown. And Paul Hall took a big shot, too, on a corner blitz there on 4th down. And appears to be all right as he went back to the sideline.
Well, he got a touchdown, but he paid for it, certainly.
17-yard touchdown pass on 4th down. 3rd touchdown pass of the day for Paul Hall. Puts him over 300 yards passing for the game. And it's 27-7 TCU.
Jim Reed brought another blitz off the edge. Hosky comes from the slot. And all Paul Hall has to do is get that ball out, and Ladarius Brown, all 220 pounds of him, does the rest. Not so sure I would have my junior quarterback, who I'm putting my season in his hands. I don't know if I'd have him in the game at this point. Shows some toughness here, but a big hit. It only takes so many of those. Rolling the dice a little bit. See how the eye black now is kind of faded and it's all over the place. It's hard to, you can't wipe your face when you got all that black on your face.
You've broken down everything about the quarterback position today, including eye makeup.
Makeup is never good on a football player.
So you're saying you're not wearing any now for TV?
No.
What about in studio? I know you're wearing it Thursday next to Van Pelt. I know Mayday has it on.
I plead the 5th.
Shepard on the return for Virginia. And Shepard out near the 28. That's their best return by far of the day. So TCU runs its win streak to 11. That's the longest active in FBS. And the challenges get greater, and they're playing an SMU team that beat them last year. Don't know how difficult a matchup that'll be, but they've got Iowa State at home, then some key games from mid-October on. I guess they'll go to Baylor. Baylor last night, that was a good win. Louisiana Monroe obviously has shown that it can play.
Yes.
And that was a good win on the road for Baylor on Friday night. New quarterback, Florence, placing RG3. And Parks ahead of the 31-yard line.
I think you're seeing that these teams smaller teams from Louisiana, Alabama, Texas, the UTEP, took Oklahoma to the final whistle. UAB now playing against Ohio State. Louisiana Monroe has scared 3 teams. So
big hit by Hasley on Kevin Parks. Six tackles for Hasley, their leading tackler coming in. And Virginia will drop to 2-2 on the season. TCU will go to 3-0. Likely the final play here. Unless we have an incompletion. Sims hit, ball out, and recovered by TCU. Fumble recovery for Davion Pearson. Horned Frogs will take a knee, and that will end the ball game.
That's true freshman Devontae Fields coming around the edge, and you can see why the coaches at TCU are excited about his explosion off the line of scrimmage, and his speed creates a turnover. If you get Mapunga and Fields going, and you have an offense that can score, you know, really the only question marks in my mind remain at TCU are the middle of the two lines, the offensive line and the defensive line. And if those guys continue to grow, I think this team can do some things.
TCU wins it 27-7 over Virginia, extending the nation's longest win streak in FBS to 11 games. And Virginia now 2-2. Casey Paul Hall had the one mistake in the red zone, the interception. Otherwise played pretty well. 305 yards passing and 3 touchdowns as TCU wins it 27-7 over Virginia. College football scoreboard presented by Honda up next. Here's Reese Davis in our ESPN studios.